Today, I'm honored to welcome an old friend, Derek Stanley, to the podcast. Derek and I first met at a fitness conference, I believe in 2015. I think that's right.
That sounds about right.
And he quickly became one of my favorite coaches in the industry. Derek stands out not just because he's offensively good looking, which you can see if you're watching the video podcast on YouTube or Spotify, but more importantly, because he is remarkably forthright, honest, and uniquely kind and approachable. He's a husband, father to two beautiful children, and it's a blessing to have him here. Derek Stanley, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, man. That was a great introduction. Appreciate the kind words and very excited to be here, man. A little nervous, very excited.
You're nervous?
Oh yeah.
What are you nervous about?
Oh man, there's cameras all on me in the room, and like I don't typically have very much imposter syndrome because I think that I am a good coach. Like I know that I am a good father, so imposter syndrome does not happen very often.
Yeah.
But when you invited me on your podcast and you look at the list of coaches that you've had and people that you've had on your podcast, it's like a who's list. And so my thoughts are like, man, like why does Jordan want me on his podcast? Like he's talked to all of these amazing people. Like you literally just had a Holocaust survivor who's got more experience and wisdom and whatever you want to call it in his pinky finger than I do in my whole body. So I'm just like, man, like why does he want to talk to me? But no, I very excited to be here, man.
Well, you're proving my point in terms of uniquely kind and approachable and honest. So I appreciate that.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I do the podcast is selfishly, I get to learn from incredibly smart, intelligent people. Sammy, the Holocaust survivor, asked me, he was like, Jordan, I do podcasts all the time, but it's always Zoom. Why you fly me here? Why we do this? And I was like, I want the in-person because of the things that happen outside of the podcast. We get to hug each other. When you do a Zoom podcast, you have a time, you show up, you go on, you get the information you need, and you're out. And there's no real connection.
Right.
And so I'm excited to have you here because I actually get to hang out with you, hug you, see you, speak with you. And then also the other thing is I've spoken with people with very large audiences and people who are very well known, but I also want to highlight people who are incredible at what they do and maybe don't have as big of a social media audience potentially yet. Who knows? Maybe you'll blow up and get millions of followers. But either way, I think there are incredible coaches, incredible people even outside the fitness industry who I'd want to have on the podcast because it's not about how many followers you have. It's about what you're saying and how you say it. And I think you do an incredible job of that.
Well, I appreciate that, man. And to your point, like this, I've done probably 10 or 15 podcasts. This is the first one that I've done in person. And it's just a completely different feel. Like being able to look at you in the eyes and, like you said, give you a big hug when I walk into your door.
Yeah.
Just way different. So beautiful setup. So yeah.
So to start the podcast, I always start with a simple question, not an easy question, but a simple question. Who are you?
So your introduction was great. My name is Derek. I am a father to two wonderful kids. I have a 6-year-old son and a 1-year-old daughter. She just turned 1. So I always mention that first because that's the most important thing to me. I'm a husband, so I've been married for 11 years. Me and my wife have been dating for 21 years, as you know, so quite a long time. And I'm a coach. So I have been a health and fitness coach since 2011, 2012 or so. Started at Lifetime Fitness as an in-person trainer, and I was there until 2017, and then been fully online since 2017. But yeah, I'm a dad, husband, coach, and just person.
So I know we were just talking about you don't even scroll on social media. No. Social media is not like your thing. You're a coach from a professional standpoint.
Coach with social media.
Coach, I like that. Yeah. A coach with social media. For let's say someone just starts following you on Instagram, what misconceptions do you think someone might have about you?
Oh man, misconceptions.
Just from what you post on social media or how you present yourself.
Maybe they would think, if they don't really know me, and this is just like, I feel like I've got quite a bit of self-awareness. Maybe they would think that I was like a douchebag. And I say that because, I do occasionally post some shirtless selfies, things like that. And I also have noticed, like I talk to everyone. Like when I go to public, I talk to people at the grocery stores. I talk to people at baseball games. I'll talk to the family sitting next to me. I talk to everyone. And I can always tell, like at very first, people are like somewhat kind of standoffish. Maybe they're just like unsure about me or like maybe I look like a D-bag. I don't know. But after a few minutes of like conversing with them, we're like best friends, right? And they really get to know me. So maybe that is something that maybe people like I'm not a D-bag. I don't think I'm a D-bag. But maybe that is that is a misconception. So if I could think about one thing, maybe that I don't know.
You know, it's funny. I think you and Ben Carpenter are very similar in
Yeah.
that you both are like jacked and shredded.
Yeah. I wouldn't say
And you're,
jacked, but he's so much more jacked than me, by the way.
well,
So
he is wildly jacked, but
yeah,
I think, I mean, before we started, you were
yeah,
doing the pec movement.
yeah.
Yeah, there it is. If
Okay.
you're watching, you're
Yes.
seeing like you've got wild pecs.
Yeah.
Ben is insanely jacked and
Yeah.
also super lean. But I think when people make judgments, as we all
Yeah.
do, judging people is normal.
Totally
We all
normal.
do
Yeah,
it. Anyone who
absolutely.
says they don't is a liar.
Yeah.
The initial judgment people make, like if I'm looking at you
Yeah.
objectively, super attractive dude, jacked, lean, I think it would be easy for someone to be like, oh, douchebag.
Yeah.
But you and Ben are simultaneously, you're both incredibly empathetic, incredibly good listeners, very articulate, and actually both very soft spoken,
Yeah.
which I think is unexpected for people when they look at you and like, oh, like you have a presence about you that is just purely based on physique, never mind the energy you bring, that I would imagine that plays into
Yeah.
maybe someone thinking that.
Yeah. And it's interesting. It's funny that you bring up Ben Carpenter and said that we are so much alike because I followed him and his content for as long as I followed you, like for a
Oh,
long
really?
time. Yeah, since probably 2013,
Oh, that's amazing.
2014. I didn't meet him in real life until this past year. I want to say it was like last summer, so like summer of 2024. And he was one of those people that whenever I met him and I instantly knew like this is my person. Like this
Yeah.
dude, he is amazing. So yeah, I flew to California and I went to Sohi's grand opening for her gym and
Yeah.
I stayed with them for 2 nights. But yeah, just meeting him, like getting to hang out with him and like now it's like we will randomly like FaceTime each other and like
I
chat
love that.
and he's just become one of my closest friends. And so maybe it's, they say opposites attract, but
I think you
we're
two are
yeah,
super
right.
similar.
And
Yeah.
and we just hit it off right away. So
I think also, not to go down a completely different rabbit
yeah.
hole, but why not? I often feel like romantic partners,
Hmm.
opposites will often, and opposites in what way, right?
Yeah.
It's like I think you have to have certain things in which you're very similar, the same, like your how you handle money is really important to
Yeah.
handle
Oh, big
that
time. Oh, yeah.
similarly.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oftentimes religious beliefs, it's
Yeah.
probably
A
important to
big,
have
yeah.
that to be similar, how you plan on raising your children in general.
Mhm.
But I think in terms of interests,
Mhm.
oftentimes opposite is really nice.
Yeah.
What your you don't need to have the same interests, but I do think you need to have the same morals and ethics.
Mhm.
In terms of friendships, I don't know if I think friendships you need to have the similar interests. Because why are you going to be friends with
Right.
someone if you have completely
Yeah.
you're not going to do it, you're going to
Like,
want to
why
hang
are we
out.
friends? We both love fitness.
Right.
Yeah.
If we're both coaches, we both love fitness, we both love being fathers, we'll talk about all of that. So yeah, I think you and Ben are very similar
Yeah.
in many, many ways.
Yeah, definitely. I can see that too.
I also think he would be a tremendous father as
Yeah.
well. I think he would be
He's-
absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
We've discussed that as well, and I think he would be amazing too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
What is something you used to believe was true, but now you don't?
In terms of fitness or very broadly?
You get to decide.
Something I used to believe that was true, but now I do not. Man, there's probably lots of things. Trying to think of one. Maybe from a fitness perspective, this was back in when I first started as a personal trainer. You know, the whole like myth of like, you're not losing weight because you're not eating enough.
Mm-hmm.
So I started training at Lifetime Fitness and they were huge on like hormones and so on like blood tests and all these types of things. And I read this book called like Cracking the Metabolic Code. Have you ever heard of that?
I've never heard of that
It's
one.
like a really thick book all about metabolism.
Okay.
So I read that and the whole premise and kind of what we learn at Lifetime is that like, yeah, you're like people's metabolisms break and it's all about
Oh,
food
geez.
quality, like calories don't matter. I used to fight that all the time when I was at Lifetime. So like our nutrition lead, he was a huge calories don't matter person, and so I would fight it a lot. But anyways, yeah, I used to believe that people could eat too little and their metabolism would crash and they would not lose weight. So now, obviously, I think that is a huge myth, and it just does not happen. I mean,
Was there a moment that you remember in which you were like, oh my gosh, I think this is wrong?
probably after working with 100 clients, like lots of clients, and like seeing, and like I always observe how people eat and drink, and I don't say this like not judgmentally, like I'm not judging this person, like nothing like that. But to me, it's important to observe these things so that as a coach, I can help people understand why they are stuck, why they are not making progress. And I've sat there, for example, and I've observed, me and my wife were at Texas Roadhouse like 3 weeks ago, and I was observing the woman who was eating next to me. Again, not judging. I don't
Just
want anybody to think.
behavioral analysis. You're
Absolutely,
not judging. Yeah.
absolutely. That's
Yes.
literally all it is. And I noticed that, she had two margaritas. She had like two baskets of those rolls that they have. She ordered a chicken fried steak, and then she ordered another margarita. And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, this woman probably just had like a 7,000 calorie meal. And this same person would look you dead in the eye the next week and say like, I eat 1,000 calories per day,
Yeah.
or like I don't eat much.
Mm-hmm.
So all of those observances and like just working with clients and stuff, I'm like, no, like, and also research studies showing, like metabolic ward studies showing that how drastically people underestimate how much they eat. So all of those things combined led me to change my views. And it's like, no, like I think there's just a massive gap between how much people are actually eating and how much they think they're eating.
Mm-hmm.
And one more example of this, I know I've said this like 5 times, but I feel like I have to say that I'm not judging because I couldn't care less what anybody eats. Like if I'm hanging out with friends, I'm not like like just analyzing everything that they're doing and everything. But again, I'm just observance. So I'm with a family member, and this person is telling me like, yeah, I've been doing so great on my diet. Like I haven't had sugar in 2 weeks, and I eat maybe 1,000, 1,200 calories per day. And then we go to this party, and I'm sitting there watching her eat like cookie after cookie, like a Route 44, like cherry Coke, which is probably like 200 grams of sugar. So in my mind, I'm thinking like, what are you talking about? Like you just told me that you don't eat sugar and like you eat like 1,000 calories per day. And I just observed you eat like 4,000 calories in one sitting.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think there's just a lack of awareness of how much people actually eat.
And it's not that they're lying.
No.
It's complete,
Yes,
honest,
yes,
unawareness.
100%. That's all it is. It is mindless eating.
Yeah.
It's like, and people tend to remember the good days. So they will remember that, oh, throughout the week, I had this salad every day for lunch with grilled chicken on it, and I did not have sugar, and they remember that. Then they forget about the weekends where they go to the party and they have 7,000 calories and alcohol and lose their inhibitions and binge eat, so to speak,
To the we're going to make it a hypothetical person at Texas Roadhouse because we don't know if this person actually wants to lose weight. But let's just say you have a client who is this person. They say they want to lose weight, and they have this 7,000 calorie meal, which by the way is not difficult to
Not
do.
at all.
Like it's really
Like
not
in
that
that setting,
challenging.
like if you want to
No.
eat 7,000 calories, go to Texas
Bro,
Roadhouse.
chips,
Yes.
guac,
Or-
margaritas,
Yeah.
chicken fried steak, gravy on top,
Yeah.
dessert. Like it's not hard.
It's not near as hard as people think.
Yeah, at all. To your point, what you were saying is every other day throughout the week may have been
Perfect.
super, not even perfect, but I would say super restrictive to the point where maybe every other day is 1,200 calories.
Yeah.
Maybe it is like you are following what the plan that you've outlined where you don't give in to any foods, you don't have any alcohol, it's just all like rabbit food.
Yeah.
And then in your mind, you've deprived yourself all week. So you're like, okay, so I deserve to
enjoy
go
myself.
and eat this. And it's like, I only have one bad meal. It's like, well, hold on. What the fuck is that
Yeah.
meal? And then what happens when you go home? Is that actually an extension of that meal? So now is it like 10, 12, 14,000 calories? It's
Very common.
It's super common.
Yeah.
And
And it sucks that people don't realize how easy it is to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But where you were getting at before I interrupted you maybe is that like, yeah, they did have that 1,200 calories every single day of the week, but that 7 or 8,000 or 10,000 calorie day, their weekly average is now 2,800 calories for the week.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
they need 2,000 calories per day to lose weight, or how many ever calories, but they
And
just had 2,800.
and it sucks because they're actually working super hard.
Yeah.
Like
Like 6 days, yeah.
6 days a week, they're working
90% of the
super
time.
hard. Yeah.
And that's also, I have a lot of empathy because that's also why it's so frustrating to people because they're being rigid, they're trying really hard, but it's those small things like that that are causing them. And that's why I observe people's behaviors and stuff, because it allows me to help clients, because I can bring that up and it's like, hey, I noticed you didn't track on Saturday. Can you walk me through what that day looked like, And they will start walking you through it. And then they'll say like, oh, I had lunch out. I had dinner at this restaurant. I had X number of drinks. And I'm like, no, tell me more. Like, what sauces did you use? Like, really fill me in, And they start going on and I'm like, okay, like, hey, it's not bad. I understand. Like, you want to just relax and you don't want to track every single day. But that meal, all of those meals, like your first meal could have been 1,500 calories and your next meal could have been 2,500 calories. So yes, you only ate 2 meals that day and it feels like you didn't eat much, but because of what you were eating, the types of foods you were eating, that was still 4,000 or 5,000 calories. So it really helps you walk through that with people and help them overcome that hurdle and overcome those frustrations. So
They'll often compare themselves to someone else at the office, for example. Maybe there's someone at the office they'll have a chocolate bar every day, and they'll be like, what the fuck? Carol
have
has a
dessert every
chocolate
day.
bar every day. And then they'll say she can eat whatever she wants. Meanwhile, I restrict myself 6 days a week. I have one meal and I can't make progress. It's like you're comparing apples and oranges. Number one, you're only seeing what she's eating in that one instance, right? You're not seeing what else she's doing. You're not seeing that Carol's also getting her steps in every day. You're not seeing that she has the chocolate bar, but her total calories for the day and week are in line. Whereas you're over restricting to the point of you feel absolutely horrible and deprived. So then you binge at the end of the week and you actually undo all of the hard work you've done.
Yep. That's such a great point, man. Like you said, they will see that one thing and they don't realize that, is the Kara the name that you used?
Carol.
We'll say Carol. They don't realize that Carol, like you said, got 15,000 steps every single day. They don't realize that she's tracking her food, very stringently and fit that into her calorie budget for the day. And I'm similar to Carol in a sense because I have dessert most evenings, like
almost
after
every
dinner.
day. Yeah.
And tell me if you're the same as me, but to me, by having it daily, like it's not off limits, I also tell myself I can have as much as I want. But what I will do is I will try to eat it very mindfully and like literally savor every single bite. So anybody who eats with me, you probably have noticed I told you how delicious this coffee was like 5 times. I have just developed these skills over the years that whenever I eat, that's all I'm doing. Like I will sit there and I will chew my food. My wife gets tired of hearing me say like, oh my God, like this is the best dessert I've ever had in my life. Like I will literally tell her like 15 times, like my mother-in-law, she will cook dinner and I will tell her 20 times, I'm like, this is the best tacos I've ever had. And I'm not just saying that. I'm not just saying that, Linda. She probably thinks that I'm just saying that to try to make her feel, but I'm like, no, like I'm just really enjoying it. So, how you eat your food, how you eat your desserts, like I'm eating it mindfully. And whenever you do that, it's also more satisfying. So you don't need near as much to satisfy you, right? Whereas if you're just sitting there on the couch and you're not paying attention and you're eating it mindlessly, you're just cramming it all in. And then you've had the whole entire bag. But me, you're eating it so mindfully, you're paying attention to it. And it's like, man, I'm starting to get a little bit full. And then I'll even tell myself like, man, I could totally crush the rest of this. But if I do, my stomach's going to be hurting for the next like 3 hours. And I don't want my stomach to be hurting for the next 3 hours. So I will stop. But yeah, how you eat it, your mindset about it is so, so, so important. And I try to always drive this home to clients. Like you can have dessert. Don't restrict it. Don't avoid it. An analogy I use is one. Do you know who Phil Lerney is?
I don't know that name.
He wrote a book called Nutritional Programming back in like 2012 or something like that. It was a phenomenal book all about flexible dieting and everything. But one of the analogies he used for restricting food is like restricting food is similar to like a wall that says no graffiti, and they are usually covered in graffiti. And it's the same thing. Telling yourself over and over again and beating yourself up saying, oh, man, I can't have sugar. I'm going to do this 30-day sugar detox, whatever the case may be. What's going to happen on day 31? The wall's going to be covered, so to speak. You're going to binge on sugar. So
I will say I don't mindfully eat like you do.
No,
Bro.
I did not used to. Actually, I started mindful. I want to hear about how you eat, but I started mindfully eating. One of my friends, he always commented on how fast I ate when I trained at Lifetime.
Yeah,
I would just
yeah.
like scarf food down, and that's how I have been
That's
for
what I
most of my
do.
life. Oh,
Yeah.
dude, you'd be like, what did I just eat? I don't know because I scarfed it down. But one day he sent me a video to show me how I eat, and he was making fun of me, and I watched that, and I'm like, holy shit! I'm like, is that what I look like when I eat? Like, that is bad. I need to change this. And so that was one part, awareness. That is one thing that made me start changing my eating behaviors. And so, yeah. But tell me how.
My wife
So if I put this, like, what's your favorite dessert in the world?
Oh man. Well, that's a different question because I'm not
Okay.
having my favorite dessert in the world every
Yeah,
day.
true.
You know?
Okay.
Like I'm usually my wife and I will have ice cream at night.
Yeah.
And every
Are we
night.
talking real ice cream or are we talking like Halo Top or something?
So usually it's Halo Top.
Halo
but,
Top actually is real ice cream.
bro, it's so good.
Delicious.
It's so number one actually. So we always have a lot of Halo
Yes.
Top here. Sammy, the Holocaust survivor who was on last week, he was like, "Hey, I'd love some ice cream if you have some." And we only have Halo Top.
Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't say, "Hey, by the way, this is like fitness ice
Yeah.
cream." I put it in a bowl and he ate it. And he usually has like the real high fat, like the regular ice cream.
Yeah.
He was like, "This is delicious."
great. Yeah.
He loved it.
Yes.
He had no idea that this was higher protein, lower calorie ice cream. Grant, if this was like Arctic ice or whatever
Yeah.
from 2014,
Disgusting. Chemically.
gross.
Yeah.
Just absolutely gross. The food science nowadays has made
Unbelievable.
these foods incredible. So we usually have Halo Top.
Yeah.
But I'll eat the whole pint.
Yeah.
And
Which is fine. It's
for
like 400
every
calories.
my wife is more like you, or she'll like savor and enjoy each bite.
So good.
For me, like for every one of her bites, I'll have like 5 or 6, and she's always like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, slow down.
She's like,
Jordan.
"You've already finished the pint." It's like every night.
Yeah.
Ironically, we're reversed when it comes to alcohol.
Okay.
With wine,
Yeah.
she's just like go 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 go.
Yeah.
Like she'll drink fast, and
Yeah.
I'm much more like I'm not even savoring it. I'm just a slower drinker.
Does it depend on the alcohol or like?
No, it's
Because
actually.
if you recall,
if I recall what.
do you remember
Oh wait. Oh, in
2015?
Oh, in Kansas City.
Me and you.
Yeah, we went to the
In the
grocery,
grocery store?
Yeah, with the what was that? Fireball. What was that?
It was. I think it was just tequila.
Was it just regular tequila?
But we smashed like 3 shots of tequila in the
in
grocery,
the grocery store. Yeah, they were giving out samples. I think
One of the best times of my
that
life.
was so funny. I
That
forgot
was
about
amazing.
that.
We were dying laughing. That was the best.
That was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
That's actually
Unbelievable.
Yeah, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm just a slower drinker overall. I'm a fast eater, slow drinker.
Okay.
But the way I treat food is generally more transactional rather than mindful.
Okay.
In terms of it's like, this is my allotted portion, and that's it.
And once it's gone, it's gone.
And once it's gone, it's gone. I'm aware of how much I'm eating in the same way I'm aware of how much I'm spending. But when I'm spending money on something, I'm not like, here's this $1.
Yes, exactly.
I earned that $1.
Yeah.
Here's this $1. I'm more just like, yep, take the fucking
You're
money.
spending it with zero guilt.
That's it.
Yeah.
No guilt, whatever. That's generally how I treat food.
Okay.
Where it's like, this is my allotted portion. I'm going to eat it. However, I'll often be on my phone.
Yeah.
If I'm sitting with someone, I'll be with that person.
Right.
But I'm definitely not a mindful
Yeah.
eater, like savoring each bite,
Gotcha.
unless it is one of those like, this is my favorite dessert of all time, which is kanafe.
Yes.
It's have you had kanafe?
No.
All right, we'll go. There's it's a Middle Eastern dessert.
Okay.
I believe it's Arab in roots. It has Arabic roots. It's this. I don't even know how to fully describe it, but it's this like honey goat cheese.
Okay.
It's ridiculous. We'll go. There's some amazing places in
Close by?
Plano. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll go.
Would love to.
When I have that,
Yeah.
I'll be very mindful
Very
with
mindful.
it. Yeah. But for on a day to day,
So-
no.
Do you still track your calorie intake? Because I'm curious how.
No, not
Okay.
really. Unless I'm like
Yeah.
in deliberately trying to lose weight or like in a cut, like then I'll be more aware of it.
Okay.
But
I'm just curious how that would affect like. But I guess you said you measure out like you're eating a portion like
I
this
just
Halo
played
Top
it.
is 450 calories.
yeah,
And you've tracked so long you can probably eyeball like, oh, this lunch, this is grilled chicken, this is rice, this is probably 600 calories.
you know what it is? I put it on a plate.
Yeah. Okay. So that's how you track your
That's
food.
it. This is my plate.
Yeah.
That's it.
Which is beautiful. If
That's
everybody do that,
Yeah.
if everybody do that,
If everybody
if everybody do that, if everybody did that,
Yeah.
then like and just stuck to that plate,
Yeah.
we probably wouldn't have any problems. And if it was mostly whole foods, nutrient dense,
Yeah.
Can I backtrack real quick because
Yeah,
we were talking
please.
about Halo Top?
Yeah.
So I have not had Halo Top since probably 2015, I would guess.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, until like 2 weeks ago.
Okay. Which one did
I
you
just
have?
randomly, man, it was some kind of fudge brownie or something.
Dude, it's
with the mix-ins.
caramel fudge brownie.
Bro.
Yeah. Really
Bro.
good. That's my favorite one.
Because I was so unexcited to eat it because I remember from back in the day,
was
Halo
bad.
Top was very chemically tasting
Yes.
and like not good.
Mm-hmm.
And it was even lower calorie then. It was probably like 200 calories.
Yeah.
Now I noticed that a pint is like 450 calories.
Mm-hmm.
But I bought that expecting it to taste not great, like chemically. Like I even bought some chocolate syrup to put on it, like to flavor it up a little bit more. I ate a pint of that about 2 weeks ago. And I mean, it was some of the best ice cream I've ever had. And I don't think I think the biggest difference is they're using like skim milk or like 1% or 2% instead
Yeah.
of like full fat milk.
Yeah.
And that's how it's like lower calorie.
Still creamy,
But yes,
still great,
it
high
is
protein,
incredible.
lower calorie.
Yeah.
The ones that I get are usually like I think 330 to 360 calories for the whole pint.
Mine was like 450,
18,
475.
it's like
yeah.
18 to 20 grams of
Yeah.
protein. It's like that's wild.
And the fiber.
Yeah.
How do you tolerate the fiber?
Great.
Yeah.
I'm a fiber king,
Same,
bro.
dude. I've never had any issues. I'm
Never.
so thankful. Like, yeah, like nothing gives me gas. Like
Yeah.
nothing gives me heartburn. I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah, I'm fine
Yeah.
with it.
But I have had some clients who have had issues. I don't know if it's like sorbitol or like whatever's in the ice cream, but
some people are much more
yeah,
sensitive to
yeah.
it.
And I'm like, man, that would really suck because this is fucking delicious. So
I want to backtrack. There's one thing we were talking about with the hypothetical Carol at the
Yes.
office, and how the person who's struggling with their weight is
Yeah.
jealous that Carol can have a chocolate bar every day. I've also noticed this in reverse, where I've had people who have friends who really struggle to lose weight, and they'll say like, "I see what they eat.
yeah,
I see what they
Yeah.
eat, and they're still not losing weight. Their metabolism must be broken." I'm like, "Are you with them?
Yeah.
24 hours
Yeah.
a day?
Do you have
How do
monitors?
you
Like,
know?
yeah.
Have you heard of the show Secret Eaters?
No.
I believe it's based out of the UK.
Yeah. Is it that famous doctor that is like, he used to have a TV show and he was like very direct with people. He'd be like, no, you eat way more than you think. You fat. Like he
No,
would,
it's like hidden cameras where
Okay.
like you essentially like you'll show people like
Yeah.
people will say, "Hey, I'm only eating X amount."
Okay.
But then when
They
it
follow
actually
them.
push comes to shove, they follow them, and
Yeah.
it's like, oh no,
Yeah.
there are things that you're not tracking that
Yes.
you're not aware of.
Yes.
And so I think that's actually really important for people who are friends or spouses of someone who's swearing up and down, just because even I've seen this with spouses,
Mm-hmm.
someone who literally lives with them and they're not aware that someone is waking up in the middle of the night and
Oh,
eating
wow.
several thousand calories.
yeah.
They're not aware that they're hiding food in their car,
yeah.
in their office drawers. Like, this is unfortunately very common because there's so much guilt and shame around it.
Yeah.
And so I've even had clients, going back to what we were talking about, how you have the person who's swearing up and down they're doing everything right. When I was doing one-on-one coaching, I would have clients, "Hey, I'm following the plan," but then I would see their Instagram. We
Yeah,
followed each other,
yeah.
and on their
You're like,
story,
"Ah,
they're like posting, "I'm going out drinking and eating this," and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Listen, I want you to enjoy this,
Yes.
but I saw your story,"
Yes.
and then they're like, "Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I forgot about that."
That part.
But the issue with that is then they stop posting it.
Yes.
I'm like,
yes.
I'm not doing
and
it. It's not a
also
gotcha.
very hard to have that conversation without being, without offending them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not watching your story. I'm
Yeah.
not checking up on you.
Similar to me observing food at restaurants.
Yes.
Like, I don't care.
Yeah, it's fine, but let's
just
just be
wanna help you.
honest. Yes,
Yeah.
correct. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's such a good point. Yeah. You have no idea what they're doing. I actually have had multiple clients who have struggled with like middle of the night eating. Like they would wake up like literally at like
Yes.
3 a.m. and crush like 1,000 calories and then go back to bed. And I think it had gotten to the point to where it had just become a habit and like their bodies had been adapted to it. So like they just keep getting hungry at
Yeah.
that time. And my thing is like, man, like let's just practice like sitting with that, man, and like not eating, and eventually you do that for a week straight, you're probably going to stop getting those hunger cues at that time. It's going to be easier, but you got to quit giving in, right?
Correct.
So, yeah.
I now have a segment called You Said.
Okay.
Okay. And I go through things you've posted, things you've said online, some things I agree with, some things I disagree with.
Yeah.
I was going to save this one later because this is something I actually disagree with you on.
Oh, yeah.
Which is okay. It's good to have
I love it. Like
okay disagreements.
the other day.
But based on the conversation around Texas Roadhouse, people eating too much, this plays in perfectly.
Yeah.
So I'm going to read what you said, and then we're going to discuss.
All right. So nervous right now. All right,
no reason to be nervous.
I said it. I'll own it.
You said, I've got an idea.
Yeah.
Force fast food chains to reduce their portion sizes.
Yeah.
Large fries on average are 25 to 30% bigger than they were in the 90s. Since people tend to eat whatever portion they are served, even if they aren't hungry, this would lead to fewer calories consumed, which leads to weight loss, which leads to improved metabolic health and lower inflammation, which leads to lower obesity and obesity-related disease rates. It would make a dramatically much bigger dent in public health than just swapping fat sources, referring to the seed oil nonsense that we're seeing right now, which won't do anything at all. And it is evidence-based. Wow. And I believe in your caption, you're like, tell me what I'm missing here.
Yeah.
I want to give you the floor. Talk about that.
So, that it was first of all, that post, which is probably why you read it, is because it was one of my most liked posts, or the most comments. It probably had 100 comments, which is a lot for one of my posts. Yeah. Because it's controversial, I guess, right? And those are the type of posts that tend to go off. Whereas I've made other posts that I feel are far more helpful, and hey, if everybody read this, it would help them tremendously. And that post will get 20 likes because it's not emotional, it's not controversial or whatever. But anyways, on that post, so yes, I do think that the whole debate about it's all about the fat source, and it's the specific type of food or the specific ingredient that's causing people to have higher inflammation levels, causing people to overeat, or whatever the case is that people are saying. And I disagree with that. I think you disagree with that too. It's not about a specific ingredient.
Correct.
It's about
completely agree.
Caloric intake. So my whole point is, and this is probably what you disagree with now that I'm saying it, is let's force fast food chains to regulate their portion sizes, to have smaller fries, right? Which I do think would go a much longer way than just swapping out the food sources. But I'm arguing with myself in my head right now. What you're going to argue with is hey, you can't really force fast food chains to do that. We live in America, and they have the right to create their portion sizes. How is that?
Yeah. So we're in complete agreement regarding seed oils. This whole performative nonsense by the MAHA movement.
Yes.
Demonizing seed oils. It's nonsense.
And also, I want to say, since that post, that was, I don't know, 2 months ago, maybe.
Yeah.
I haven't really followed much anymore about anything that RFK or any of these other MAHA people have been saying.
Yeah.
So since that, I'm kind of in the dark.
I haven't seen it popping up as much, to be honest.
Which is good.
It is good. Yeah. Every time I don't see something popping up, it makes me think the reason we see things pop up is for the exact same reason that you said this post did well, is because things that are incendiary will get people's attention. And also, what is the media wanting us to look at? They're not wanting us to look at this. So what is incendiary right now? For me, there are a couple of things wrong with this. That I believe is wrong with it. The actually less important thing is I don't know how big of an impact it would actually have to force them to reduce their portions. Just because if someone is now going to eat less at fast food, are they going to eat more somewhere else throughout the day? Yeah. To be honest, though, that's not my biggest concern. A few people
commented on that. Okay.
The compensatory eating.
Yeah.
Which I think is a fair discussion. Yeah. My major concern is the forcing, the regulations. Right. Not even just an America thing, we're freedom, because there's not 100% freedom. Right? There are rules and there's laws.
We probably need some rules in some.
Of course, yeah. My concern is it becomes a slippery slope. Where does this go?
Yeah. Because what goes next? Do we have?
Well, so if we're gonna regulate portion sizes at fast food restaurants, we're gonna do it based on the calories in that food, as you had said, because the calories are 20.
It's almost tripled in size, right. I think.
So now do we do that at every restaurant?
Right.
And at what point do we say, okay, so Texas Roadhouse, do we, or
do you
even
get one basket of rolls? You can't have four?
Exactly. And what's the caloric allotment per meal?
Yeah.
That's allowed.
Yeah.
Does it change based on the individual size? Gotcha. Does it change? So now I'm thinking, this becomes a much larger issue that if we take it to its logical conclusion, it becomes far more regulatory with these top-down mandates when I'm much more of an education over regulation type. And I'm also not big government at all.
Right.
I want to make the government as small as possible. And I also extrapolate this. I often, people call the government big brother, right? And I think it often is, people relate the government to a potential family member. I heard a comedian tell a hilarious joke. He was basically being like, you guys, I'm always interested by people who don't believe in any conspiracy theories. He's like, I've got one son and I lie to that motherfucker all the time. He's like, the government, like, you don't think they wouldn't lie to us at all? Like, never.
Very good point.
And so
what's harder to believe is the grand conspiracy theories, you know, like chemtrails, like they're poisoning us or whatever.
Yeah,
you know? Like,
I mean, listen, I know nothing about that. I'm not even going to give my opinion because I know literally nothing about it. But what I think is, let's say you heard someone's spouse all of a sudden was going to be like, whoa, we got to put a caloric limit on the meals that we're having. You'd be like, that's a wild thing to say to your spouse. You cannot do that. But now we're going to say it's okay for the government to say how many calories you're allowed to have at this restaurant.
Right.
In my opinion, it's actually far more similar than different. And if I'm looking at how behavior change is actually accomplished most successfully, it's not through not allowing things in the same way you don't say you're not allowed to have this food. You're allowed to have it. Let's work on improving your relationship with it. So that's where I disagreed with
Got you. No, and I don't even have a good rebuttal for that because, I mean, it probably isn't the most practical thing. One more thing that I've thought on similar line is like, what if we were to add like a sugar tax on like sugar sweetened beverages or something like that? But I guess, do you feel like that is a little bit different than my post there that you read? Like, as far as instead of
who's that
regulating
imposed on? Is
portion
that
sizes,
imposed on the companies with the who's selling it, or is it imposed on the buyer?
on the buyer. Like if it
like
costs
that.
more to buy sugar sweetened beverages.
So I think that is going to disproportionately affect lower income communities.
Agreed. Which is a whole other conversation because, you know, like WIC and like food stamps and stuff, to me, I don't understand why those things are on the menu. You know, like, can we get some juice maybe? Like, or something a little bit more healthy than sodas. But yeah, great point.
My major thing is going back to this seeing things through my lens is I want smaller government. I don't like the government having control over what we're allowed to do, what we're allowed to choose. I don't like the idea of the government saying, we're going to charge more for this one, or like we're required, you're going to have to pay more. I don't think it would have the effect that people think it would have. I think we've actually seen, I believe Stan Efferding was talking about, we've seen this tried in Mexico. Didn't work out well.
With sugar, like taxing certain foods and regulations and
I
stuff.
might be mistaken, but I believe that's correct. And I, again, in my opinion, top-down mandates don't work as well as simple education. So,
but here's the problem with education, in my opinion, is like people don't have a good sense or a good BS detector for what like is correct information, you know? Does that make sense? So like, because I'm huge on education as well. I wish everybody followed Jordan's site. Me and Mike Dolo were talking about you yesterday. This is a side tangent. We were like, man, I am so glad that Jordan exists because you are evidence-based. You are very aligned with mine and Mike's views on what we think about things. And you have a very large audience. And so you push good information to the masses. And we're like, man, we need more people like you, less people like some of these fearmongers who are going in the grocery stores with their shirts off. So anyways, that is a roundabout way to get to my point that like, what is educate, right? Like, how do people know the difference between, oh man, Jordan is educated and this is great advice, versus the person with their shirt off in the grocery store saying, hey, you have to avoid these ingredients.
Correct.
You know?
So this is where it's a wonderful point, and I appreciate the kind words. It's one of the reasons why I'm excited to have you on the podcast. Hopefully people start following you, and everything is in the show notes for your social media. But
thank you.
I would imagine you'd agree that if you go into a gym nowadays versus if you went into a gym in 2010, you see way more people doing better things.
Yes.
More squat racks.
Absolutely.
Better
I
squat
feel like
technique.
It's been a giant shift.
So this is the point proven in terms of the overall education of
Yeah.
people has improved dramatically simply based on the how much information is being put out there. And I think people are now exercising better. We are now seeing more women's strength training. We're seeing people. I went to the gym in 2010. Squat racks were empty.
Yep.
Women were on cardio machines. Dudes were doing curls.
Isn't that
was
crazy
basically
that
it.
was only like 15 years ago? Yeah.
Now I see women's strength training, powerlifting. There are women's only powerlifting competitions. There, like, I see great squat technique. I see farmers walks. I see amazing push-ups. I see chin-ups. Like, the overall knowledge base of the average individual is much better. I go to the comment section on, I'm not going to name anyone, but people who are
I had to fight myself a while ago not to name somebody when I was talking about the fear mongers.
You go to people who are fear mongering influencers, nonsense creators, whatever, celebrities pushing bullshit products. You go to the comment sections and it's people saying this is nonsense. Like
that's good.
Thousands of comments of people being like, stop. Now there are still people who are preyed on by it, who still fall for it. But in my opinion, that's part of the educational process. In the same way that you were led to believe that that calories didn't matter. You, through education, you've learned, and now you can spread it.
I was never fully led to believe that, but it's something that I was very much like questioning and everything else. But
I think that there's no perfect system, and everything there will be cons. There will be pros and cons to everything. But if I had to pick the best system, even though there will always be cons, it comes down to education over regulation. In the same way that I would never regulate what my wife or my daughters are allowed to eat. I would say, like, I would educate them on what might be the better choices on the given situation, but I won't regulate it, because I found regulation
doesn't work.
Dude, even if we, for example, like, we outlawed alcohol, prohibition, people still drank.
Think about, true, but think about the effect that would have on public health. I've made a post about that too. Like, if we were as hard on alcohol as we are on, like, seed oil or like some of these other specific ingredients.
Listen, I mean, we still allow cigarette sales, which, I mean, what I think is, if we're putting a skull and crossbones on cigarettes, we should put a skull and crossbones on alcohol.
It's the same
I don't think
thing.
we should eliminate it. I don't think we shouldn't allow people to do it. But if we're putting a skull, like, if we're being honest,
I agree.
Skull and crossbone goes on alcohol.
Dude, completely agree.
And I drink alcohol
I do too.
every week. Like, it's that's just, that in my opinion is education over regulation.
No, I completely see that perspective. And so it's on people like the Jordan Syeds of the world and on me to, like, it's almost like a responsibility for us to put out good educational content. And I try to tell myself that sometimes whenever I'm in those spells where, like, man, I really don't want to post on social media, but it's and even my clients tell me that it's helpful. They like to see me posting, and they learn things from my post that maybe they don't get in an individual check-in or something. You know? And
dude,
it brings up questions to them. They're like, oh, like, you post on this, can you tell me more about this? You know, and then it opens up. So then they learn, and then it's like a web effect, right? Like, they know, oh, I've taught them this, and then they go teach their friend that, and then they teach their kids this. And now that I'm talking about this, it's really cool how, like, some of my clients, like, pass down these much healthier relationships with, like, food and body image and stuff to even their kids. Like, they improve, but so do their kids, and, like, maybe their husband or their spouse also starts making some changes.
Generational health improvements.
For
generations because of your Instagram.
Isn't that, it's insane.
Dude,
when you think about it, it's like mind blowing.
And that is one of the things that, despite all of the nonsense that I get, the hate, the whatever I get, it's like, that's what makes it worth it.
Yes, absolutely.
And regardless of how
you got to keep that in mind.
You have to keep that in mind. And I think about it from the perspective of happiness in the workplace is something I've always been very interested by. Like, who is what group of people, or what people are the happiest and most fulfilled in their jobs? And it's the people who see the direct positive impact of what they're doing. Generally speaking, someone who works behind a computer, who is working with data, who doesn't see the impact of their work, tends to be less happy with their job. But for us, we work in such a remarkable industry in that, like, we can see the direct impact. And so that's when coaches are like, oh, I only get 24 likes on a post. I'm like,
dude, that's
you have no idea the
you just see the 24 likes, but that could have affected 100 people, right?
I think on the low end. I think on the low end, if we think about the massive impact, the like the force impact it's a multiplier across the entire world.
Yeah.
You impact one person. It sounds cliche and like hippy dippy, but positively impacting one person could legitimately impact the entire
So
world.
you like 24 likes, but like even if it was one like, that's one person that you made a difference, or they took something away from that they can go and be healthier or apply to their lives or whatever. Yeah. I love that you brought up about happiness in the workplace because, dude, I think about this so much because like, I'm sure you were the same. Most of our clients, like most of my clients, hate their jobs. They're looking for new jobs. They're stressed out. They have bosses they don't like. So that's also another thing that I think so much about. And I sometimes feel slightly guilty because I love what I do so much. Like I wake up every single, dude, that's why I woke up at 4:30 this morning. I was so excited to like learn and to like read and like to go to work. And I literally want everybody to experience that. And so I think about it so much. And so like another thing that I think makes people happier in their workplace is just like levity and like just being lighthearted and like joking more, you know? So that's one of the biggest reasons I miss working at Lifetime because I had a close group of friends there. We had so much fun. We were always joking around, walking by, like hitting each other, you know, while they're training their clients. And so anything, like I feel like people are too business or too professional. It's like, loosen up, like have some fun, man. Like it's okay to like not take everything seriously, you know?
Yeah.
So,
along the same lines, I love discussing politics and policy and all this stuff, but I would never, and watch me eat my words in 15 years, but I never see myself ever going into the world of politics because the bureaucracy.
You're the next president, 2040.
I firmly believe this with every ounce of my soul that you and I have a far better ability to positively impact people than the vast majority of people in government. Because in order to get anything done, there's so much red tape and there's so much bureaucracy, and then there are so many hoops you have to jump through in order to make anything happen. Whereas you and I, we get to decide what we say, when we say it, how we say it, and we're not tied to donors. We're not tied to. All we have to do is say the truth.
Yeah,
that's it.
That's it.
And
How
then
hard is that?
with that truth, we get to help people directly impact them to help make better decisions for themselves, for their families, which makes every ounce of hate and vitriol and negative comment worth it 100-fold.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, and this is going to go down a different path, but I think the way that the current education system works, at least here in the United States, is built around creating worker bees who actually won't end up liking their jobs. It's a lot around
what's the structured hours, the strict hours, and
you memorize this. And it's
you mean like education, like even through elementary school and junior high, and
everything, and then going into higher education, college, all of that. I think it's built. The whole idea is you go to college, you get a degree, and then
get a job.
You get a job.
Yeah,
it's
you
like
work a 9 to 5 or whatever.
But in nowhere in there is it like, hey, what are you passionate about?
Nowhere.
Right? Like, what are you? What lights you up?
Yeah.
What makes you super happy? And if we're going to get deeper into that, it's like the thing that lights you up is probably going to be the thing that gives you the most purpose in this world.
Yep.
And things that give you purpose are generally things that allow you to help other people.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like I think most people find the most happiness and purpose in serving others.
Yep. Anytime I'm down on myself or having a bad day and like trying to get out of the rut, that's one of the things that I commonly go to is like, how can I help someone today? And that's what gets me to log on and do like the next check-in or whatever, you know? So that's a great point.
So there's a lot more of things that you said. That was the only thing that I had mildly disagreed with, but I think we actually agree on far more than we disagree on that. Here's something that I thought was actually really interesting. Trying to find this. You said someone asked you how your chest looks so big with a shirt on, and everyone who's not listening, you might want to go to the Spotify or YouTube so you could do the peck dance. Just like you have a huge chest, huge chest. You got ridiculous control over it. You said someone said asked you how your chest looks so big with a shirt on, and you replied, "My chest has been this big since 6th grade."
Literally.
Why do you share that? Why do you think it was such an important thing to share?
Because man, you see all this BS. Like somebody, you can see like there will be somebody who has been ripped their whole life, like just genetically, like they've had abs, and then they will go and post like some dumb ab routine, pretending like that is like why they have abs. So like I just tell people like I don't have a special a chest specialization program, you know?
Right.
Like I just for some reason or another genetically was gifted with a huge chest, and I got made fun of for this in junior high.
They said you had boobs?
Dude, I got called man boobs in the first time,
Dude,
like going into 7th grade.
Yeah.
So I've been insecure about my chest for probably 20 years. It's really the past like 7 or 8 years I've like really embraced it, you know? But yeah, I got made fun of in junior high. Like people would like call me man boobs like in the hallway because because I would take off my shirt in 7th grade and I had really big boobs. I did have man boobs. But also simultaneously, some people thought it was so cool because I could do that pec dance even then. So I've just always had insane mind muscle control with my pecs. And I guess that lets me know that like that's probably a part of hypertrophy, is that probably does play a role, like my muscle connection, because I'm able to do that so easily. Like either side, like I can make them dance to a beat, whatever. You want me to do it? Turn some music on. No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that. But I've just always been able to do it. And I guess because I can do that, maybe when I'm doing a chest press or a pec fly, I get so much more engagement. So like, dude, I do now currently 3 to 5 sets of chest per week because like I just don't really care to grow my chest, you know? And I get all I need from that. So did I answer your question?
Yeah, I mean it sparks just an amazing discussion because it would be very easy for you. It would be very easy for you to make content being like,
I could sell an ebook.
You could sell an ebook, you could sell a program, you could sell a lot, but even you could make viral content around being like, hey, the reason your chest isn't growing is because you're doing
these
this.
Exercises.
Or like all these posts where it's like POV, I made this one change to my chest press and all of a sudden my chest grew. It would be very easy for you to make those posts.
And I'll probably have 25,000 followers now instead of 11,000.
Easy.
Yes.
Those posts would go viral.
Absolutely.
Because of your physique.
It's lying.
But it's lying, it's disingenuous. But that's why I loved that post because we're like, I've had this since I was in 6th grade. But I think it's important even for the consumer to be aware of like, hey, if you're seeing someone be like, hey, I made this one change to my RDL and this is how my glutes grow. It's like, probably the fuck not.
Yes, you had great glutes before you made that change to RDL.
You had great glutes.
But like, hey, great content. That's going to go viral and you're probably going to sell an ebook now.
Yes. But like you could have done Pilates, yoga, whatever, and your glutes still. And it doesn't mean, some people get mad when I say this, it doesn't mean you didn't put in hard work. Yeah. You still worked out really hard and you did a great job and you learned a lot. But this is also your genetic predisposition.
And something that you had no control over. So that is why I made that post, is because I wanted to make that very specific point. Like, I was born with this. I'm not going to sell you some specialized chest program or something.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So,
I loved that post. I thought it was.
Thank you.
That was one of the posts that highlights what I mean by you're uniquely honest. And
probably to my own detriment a little bit because I don't grow my following as much as some other people would. But
I don't think it's. Actually, it's an interesting discussion. Now we're going to get a little philosophical, which I love. I would imagine you could have you would have grown your audience more, maybe made more money, but I think you would have been less happy.
Agreed. 100%. It'd be harder to sleep at night.
It'd be harder to sleep at night. Yeah. How could you?
And to me, that's more valuable than any financial or anything. Yeah.
And then you see your son and your daughter as they get older going through your social media.
Yeah.
And they start parroting the same shit that you've parroted, and they'd be like, well, Dad, like, look, I've been doing X, Y, and Z because I saw it on your social media, and now that's really going to hit you in the gut.
Yeah.
Because
that hits me hearing you talk about that one day my kids will be able to read my Instagram post and my
literally every post I make and every podcast I make, I'm thinking about that.
Really?
It's been, I love it. I've spoken about this a fair amount where it's like one of the major reasons I continue to put out content, even while I'll take a stance on something staunchly, is not because I care what other people say or not because I need to say it, but because I want my kids to know that when push came to shove, I took a stance.
Dad put his, I love
Dad
that, dude.
said what he believed, and he stood by it. And they can see the comments. They'll be able to be like, "Oh man, he took a lot of heat for that," but he was there.
And I know you, so I know that your private actions are the same thing that you were saying and doing on social media, and they will know that as well.
Yes. I mean,
Massive.
you look back through, this is the first time in human history where
Yeah.
people can prove
Yeah.
where they were and what they did or what they said or
That's
what they
weird.
didn't do. It's the first time in human history. I know there were many people during the Holocaust who were not Jewish and who will say they were German or Polish, for example, who that they had the opportunity to try and save innocent lives,
Yeah.
but maybe they didn't. And the children of these people want to know, what were you
Yes.
doing?
Yes.
Did you do what was right? And like,
Yes.
I'm not saying it was
You want
easy,
to be
but
that person.
you want to be that person. You
Yes.
want to, you want them to know
Yes.
that you were that person.
Yeah.
And so, man, that's one of the most important lessons that I've learned is I want to continue to put out content, yes, to help people, yes, to improve their lives, but also so that my kids and grandkids and so forth will know what I stood by.
Yeah. And what you were thinking.
Yeah.
I love that, man. No, that's really awesome. Definitely a good thing to keep in mind.
But in terms of going back to what you're saying, like to your own detriment, I think it's not to your detriment. I think it's
It's a good way to frame it.
it's to the betterment of your mental health, your emotional health, and to your family.
And it's probably why I have such a great relationship with my clients. They trust me. They know
That's
that,
exactly right.
So,
Yeah,
and
that's exactly
a huge
right.
thing. Yeah.
This one I found really interesting. This is a topic I've been getting more and more into probably in the last year and a half or so. You said, I'm not telling you to ignore your pain or just push through it.
Yeah.
But most of the everyday aches and pains we feel are part of being human. 99% of the time, they're no big deal. It's how we respond to them that can turn them into a bigger deal or help us move through them faster.
Yeah.
Explain that.
Man, learning this has, I think, been one of the most life-changing things. And this is, so I struggled with basically chronic pain all through my 20s. Like most people wouldn't really know that. Like it's not like I was debilitated. It's not like I couldn't get out of bed, but I just struggled with aches and pains. Like I would always get hurt. My friends would even make fun of me like, oh, Derek's hurt again. They would call me like fragile and they would call me glass and they would compare me. They would compare me to, I don't think you watch basketball, but Derek Rose is this player who
You
is
say it because I'm
constantly,
Jewish?
Here we go.
I don't watch basketball. I don't.
Exactly.
I just had to say
I know
that.
you don't. But they would compare me to, players who were just constantly injured, constantly hurt, and that was me. And so I started learning more about pain science, specifically the biopsychosocial model of pain, and I hired a coach to work with me through that. So Barbell Medicine, I worked with a coach, Claire Zai, who really helped me for a few years, right, to overcome those types of things. But yes, the way that we think about pain and the way that we think about injuries is one of the most important things. Like I've had stabbing, like I've done a workout before and I had like shooting pain in my elbow, and everybody's tendency when that happens is to catastrophize. We're like, shit, man, I probably tore something. Like I'm not gonna be able to work out for like 6 months. I'm gonna have to have surgery. I need to go get an MRI now. And it's like, no, man, like why are we going straight to that? Like you could have injured yourself, but it could just be nothing. And so I've had shooting pain in my elbow where I've had those thoughts and had to catch myself. And then I'm like, hey, I'm good. Like, let me test out like my range of motion. Okay, I can still do that. Okay, I can still hold this 5-pound dumbbell. Like, I'm good. Like, yeah, that hurt a little bit, but I'm probably going to be fine. And sure enough, like the next day I wake up and I don't even notice it. Compare this to, in my 20s. Like, let's say if I had patellar tendonitis or quadricep tendonitis, which I've dealt with both and they suck. But you wake up every morning and the first thing you do is you test it to see if it's still hurting. Like you go like that and you're just bringing your attention to it. You were focusing on it, and that just makes things far worse. Whereas if you can just get up and try your best to ignore it and just go on about your day, it's most likely not going to be some kind of like major lingering problem, So yeah, I think our mindset towards that, there's so many things that can affect pain. So biologically, yes, you could be injured. You could have damaged some tissues. You could have strained a muscle. You could have done something like that. Psychologically, which is the rumination, the catastrophizing, how we think about things. Psychological stress. So there's studies that show during finals weeks, students have more pain or they feel more pain because they're stressed out about the tests and everything. So you got all of these things. And then even socially, so like how were we raised to like to think about pain? Like did our parents like every time we got hurt, did they like coddle us and they were like, oh, you're little Timmy, you can't play baseball tomorrow now because you hurt your leg or whatever. So you have all of these factors that influence our pain experience, I guess you can say. And so like really learning that and like really digging in and understanding the biopsychosocial model of pain can help you improve that and can help you continue to do things that are meaningful to you, continue to do things that are important. Another thing is like somebody will hurt themselves or they'll be warming up and they'll feel some knee pain. And it's like, oh man, well, I guess I can't squat today, right? And or maybe they don't work out at all. They go rest. To me, I'm like, hey, like, no, like if it's like a sharp pain and like, yeah, there's other red flag symptoms, like your foot is numb and you can't walk. Yeah, please don't work out. But a lot of times it's like, hey, you just need to warm up. You need to get your joints moving. You need to get some synovial fluid. You need to warm up your muscle tissues. And there's a 9 out of 10 chance you're going to feel way better by the time you get to like your fourth or fifth warm up set. So, yeah, I think that is really important to change our mindsets, kind of reframe how we're feeling about pain. And it's been one of the biggest changes that I've made within my own training that has allowed me to continually progress. And man, I'll tell you, like, I still deal with pain sometimes, but not very often. Like years ago, I would even 2 or 3 years ago, that was also when I was doing powerlifting, but it'd be harder to like roll around and wrestle on the floor with my son without like hurting. The last 2 years, man, like it is very rare that I experience something like that, you know? And even I broke my leg in August of 2023, I think. And like the doctors were like, oh, you're going to be out for like 6 to 10 weeks. And I take that as a challenge. I'm like, okay, we'll be back in like 5 or 6 weeks. And like, sure enough, I was. But I use all of these skills and this education that I have about the biopsychosocial model of pain and also recovery. And, you know, we can get into all kinds of other things like the cross education effect, which means like, hey, if you hurt your left leg or if you hurt your left arm, you can still train your right arm. You can still train your right side. You can still train your right leg. And there's going to be some benefit in terms of recovery and maintaining strength and muscle on the opposite side. And so like knowing all of these things, this goes back to our point of education being so important, really helps you work through all of those types of things, fully recover, become more resilient, etc. So,
dude, I completely agree with you. I think you articulated that super well. Pain is obviously a very emotionally charged topic because we all experience pain differently and it's a huge spectrum. And there are some people who are in chronic lifelong pain who might hear that and be like, fuck you, tell me to ignore it. That's not what we're saying.
No,
right? I understand that. I'm putting that out there for someone who's like, fuck you. Like like, that's not what we're talking about.
No.
We're talking about
run of the mill aches and pains.
Yes. Like, these are normal as part of life. Catastrophizing it becomes a major issue.
Yes.
And I think the general response has been just don't do anything that hurt. Just rest it. Avoid it.
Yep.
I think it's the worst thing you can do.
Agreed.
If you chronically, it's sort of like if you're going to have a difficult conversation with your spouse, just like avoiding it.
Yeah.
We'll just ignore it. It's like, well, that's a bad fucking idea. It's going to make it way worse.
Yeah.
And there's going to be pain involved with the conversation. It's going to be a difficult conversation, but you have to have it. In the same way, it's like, all right, listen, you're experiencing pain. We need to address it. Yeah. And maybe we need to address the way you're thinking about it. Like maybe we need to address the way that you're approaching it as opposed to thinking, hey, we just never go there at all. How about we like slowly, progressively get it stronger? You expose yourself to that pain in smaller amounts. I think Alec Blennis was just on the podcast recently, and he brought up, he's amazing with this. He brought up a great point where he's like, I think he was telling a story about how he was going to get a shot of some kind and how they were just prepping him with a cotton swab, but they thought they were about to give him a shot. And so he was like, like he felt pain, but it didn't, it was just a cotton swab. The needle, they didn't even have the needle out yet, but he thought that it was. And, I think it was actually,
that's a great analogy for that.
It was for his vasectomy, I believe, where he was like, in his most like delicate area on his body, he thought they were about to inject, and it was just like the cotton swab or something. But how we perceive pain is the biopsychosocial model. It's so much psychological, and so it's important to be aware that just because you're experiencing pain doesn't necessarily mean it's an emergency.
Right.
And again, not talking about this like
Catastrophic.
horrific, catastrophic. We're just like
major acute
general,
injury.
normal aches and pains. Doesn't mean you need to avoid it.
No.
And I actually think avoiding it is probably going to do more harm than good long run.
Absolutely. Motion is lotion. So
motion is lotion.
I've heard that from someone else, but it's very true. And another, I have a client who she was on a ski trip about 2 months ago and she hurt her knee. She's been to the doctor like 2 or 3 times. She's gotten multiple opinions, like possibly partially tore her ACL. But over the past 2 months, like a lot of people, most people would have listened or would have stopped exercising, right? They would have stopped moving. And that is harmful for multiple reasons. Number one, you're going to lose more muscle. You're going to be less robust. You're also going to associate movement with pain. There's so many things that come along with the avoidance strategies. I'm so proud of her because she literally has not missed a workout. Like she got home after possibly tearing her ACL and she like trained the Monday. Of course,
what a beast.
We've been talking back and forth for the last 2 months, like literally weekly, like modifying, like trying to figure out the correct formula for movements, reps, like range of motion, all of these things that she can do. And we've settled on things like that she can do and she can still train hard. She can still maintain her muscle and her strength. And also psychologically, she has so much more confidence from working through this as opposed to if she had sat on the couch for 2 months, lost a bunch of muscle, lost a bunch of strength, got out of shape. So yeah, super proud of her for the way that she's worked through that. And that is just one example of many that I could share,
That's been one of my most fun parts of challenging my mobility in extreme end ranges, like trying to get the splits.
You've improved a ton, right?
Oh, dramatically. Yeah. Like, I mean, front splits, almost balls to floor. Side splits, I'm about 175 degrees, which is really cool. Wow. But through this exploration, I've also been challenging other areas. So like my back bend, for example, like extreme spinal extension.
Yes.
In areas that
flexion or extension?
Extension, like a back bend.
Okay.
So like the flexion as well, like Jefferson
curl. So like
your
hips are on the floor and you're lifting your chest off the ground.
Yeah. So like like the Exorcist walk.
Yes.
Where like she's like walking backwards, like in that position where like I'm completely bent over backwards. We'll
Can you bend over backwards and put your feet on the floor in your hands?
Yeah.
Like, no shit.
I'll put a picture up on the screen right now, Mitch. I'll send you the picture. Yeah, man.
And you didn't just do that. You had all of these smaller progressions.
Correct.
And you've been working for how long to do that, to get to that point?
2 years.
That's crazy.
Almost a year and a half, realistically.
That's so fucking cool. I can't imagine how much better you feel because of that, like rolling around on the floor, wrestling with your dog or
Curtis. Yeah. My daughter is Curtis. But like the main thing is in everyday life, like whether it's putting my girls down in their crib, right? The spinal flexion that you get from that, whether it's going outside and running with Curtis, and but even recently I was I forget where I was, but I slipped, and my leg went out.
Oh wow,
pretty far. And
you have strength in that range of motion.
I have strength in that range, so I'm not scared of it anymore. And like usually, like you'll get a pull or a tear or a strain because you don't have strength in that range. So for me to like slip and have my leg go out far and not have a injury that lasts 6-8 weeks, whatever it is, I was so grateful, dude.
And that is a life-changing thing. Because imagine you do tear your adductor and you're out for 6 months. Like,
And I have met, I'm only 34, but I think you probably see something similar where once you hit 30, a lot of your friends are losing muscle.
Absolutely.
They're losing strength. They're having more aches and pains. And I think that you can continue to improve your performance, not just reduce your risk of injury and not just to delay negative progressions, but I think like for a long time we can actually actively improve your performance. Yes. Yeah. It's brought more fun and enjoyment into my training as well.
I love it, man. And that's super important.
Yeah.
Like I've heard you talk on another podcast, like you don't enjoy like hypertrophy training or like training for bodybuilding. Obviously, I can say the same for me. The videographer actually called me out earlier because we were talking about Stanley. He basically called me small. He's like, he goes, yeah, man, we've had bodybuilders sit in that chair, and I'm like, what do you think about me, man? Like I'm a but I know what he's talking about. But yeah, I just got us off track. What were you saying?
It just the importance of recognizing your performance can improve dramatically throughout the majority of your life.
Yes, I've got Uh, Man, my former client, Margie, I don't want to get this wrong. She's in her 60s, especially because I said her name. I can't be like, no, she's 72 and she's really like 65 or something, but she's in her 60s and she is a beast, dude. Like she does powerlifting. She can deadlift like double her body weight, squat like double her body weight. She can do rope climbs at her CrossFit gym where she goes all the way up the top. And yeah, she's in her 60s and she can do that. And then my father-in-law is 64, 62, 64, something like that. I've been programming him workouts for the past, I want to say it's been pretty close to 2 years now. And it came full circle whenever I saw a picture. Actually, I posted a picture of him and the family on Facebook the other day, and somebody commented and they're like, it was his daughter. And she said, my sister-in-law, and she said, is dad flexing? And I'm like, no, he's just jacked now. And he looks incredible. I sent him the picture. I'm like, I know you're going to get embarrassed whenever I tell you this, but I sent him a picture like zoomed in on his arms. I'm like, dude, this is inspiring. Like you were jacked, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just so cool to me. Like, yeah, you can gain muscle, you can gain strength in your 60s, in your
Yes.
70s. It's literally, so many people ask me that, like, is it too late to start? The answer is a resounding no.
It's literally
Like,
never too late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're 82 and you've never start lifting weights,
Yep.
your last decade will be totally different and it's going to be life changing.
Yeah.
So
Not even just physically, but mentally
yes,
as well.
everything.
Yeah. Everything
Yeah.
gets better.
Yes. Oh man, could go on and on.
I want to talk about one of the greatest exercise hacks I've learned from you.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been, we've both been in this industry a long time. I don't see many exercise hacks at this point that I either haven't seen or that are super helpful.
Mm-hmm.
You posted on the hack squat.
Oh,
Dude.
Yeah.
So you said if you're under 6 foot
Yeah.
on the hack squat, which I'm
of us.
5'3", 5'4" on a good day.
Yeah.
Like I'm short. You were like, if you take these foam yoga blocks and you put them on your shoulder, it essentially increases your height relative to the machine, so that you can get a bigger range of motion on the hack squat. Bro,
have you been using it?
Changed my life.
So does your hack squat machine bottom out at like a certain depth?
Yeah, so I get below parallel, but like I want deep.
Yeah.
Dude, I want heels to ass. I want deep. And so my brain was like, well, I was going to put the cork yoga blocks under my feet.
Yeah. Oh, way more unstable and dangerous. Yeah.
So
you
stupid.
Step up on the side of one of those. And,
just a bad idea.
Yeah.
But then when I saw your post, you're like, yeah, you put the styrofoam on your shoulders, bro.
Can I tell you how cool it is for the guy who taught me how to sumo deadlift in 2013, who I knew you before you knew me. I hired you to be my coach. And now we're sitting here and you were telling me that I posted something that helped you improve your training and get better.
Yeah.
That is fucking cool.
Dude.
But I'm so glad that tip helped. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. And my machine, man, I'm telling you, like I've got a hack squat leg press combo in my gym and it's perfect for anybody that is probably between 5'6" and 5'9". But if you're taller than that, there's issues because you run out of range of motion at the top. And if you're shorter than that, like your range of motion, like you're basically doing like squatting 2/3 of the way down.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, putting those, it doesn't have to even be yoga blocks. It can be like an AirX pad or like towels, anything that you can put between your shoulders and the pad on the hack squat to create more distance between that. Yeah, you're going to be able to get, multiple more inches of range of motion.
Yeah,
and
like
get
6
much
extra
more
inches
out of the exercise for your quads and your glutes and everything. So
I have noticed you like to wear Olympic lifting shoes while you lift. Why is that?
Personally, it's because I have horrible ankle range of motion, like dorsiflexion. I don't know if it's because, I played basketball my whole entire life and I've sprained my ankles probably about 1,000 times, but my ankles don't bend. Like they're stiff as a board. Yeah.
Do you work on it at all?
Dude, I have done everything. Maybe you can help me. I've done everything imaginable. I've worked with physical therapists to try to increase my range of motion. I've done all of these drills. I will tell you one thing that temporarily made a difference and improved my ankle range of motion was doing extremely heavy trap bar deadlifts with a lot of knee flexion. So I did those for like back-to-back mesocycles for like 16 weeks. And it was more of like a combo between a squat and a deadlift. I was really driving my knees forward. I was pushing through the floor and I actually worked up to it was something stupid. It was like 500 pounds for a set of 10 is what I worked up to on the high handles of the trap bar deadlift.
Yep.
But temporarily I started noticing on squats. Like my knees were traveling further forward and I was making some improvements, but that's the only thing that has ever worked. Like I've done the banded distractions, like where
Yep.
you put the band above is it the talus bone in your
Yep.
foot or ankle, and like you push your knee forward. I've done all those types of things. I've stretched my calves. Dude, I slept with a Strasbourg sock for like 4 weeks one time. Have you ever seen
Yeah.
those?
Yeah.
For people who have not seen those, it's a sock that you wear. There's like stirrups on the side, and it holds your ankle in dorsiflexion throughout the whole night. It's the most uncomfortable,
Sounds
miserable
like
thing in the
torture.
world. It literally is torture. And I've tried that before for like 4 weeks straight and saw zero improvement like in my ankle range of motion. So
It sounds like you need a higher intensity. If based on what
load.
worked for you, you
Yes.
need a higher intensity
That's
load.
what I
Even those
learned.
band distractions,
Yeah.
like it's
It's
not
not
enough.
enough. Yeah.
After this, we'll go in the
I need
gym.
500 pounds. Yeah. I would love to show you like my ankle range of motion and be like, hey, show me something like I'm
Yeah.
sure you've been working on flexibility for the past couple of years. I'm sure you could show me something that would,
We'll try out
yeah,
a couple of things because I
yeah,
think we'll be able to find something that gives you a higher, because it's not only just about the external load,
yeah,
but you can also increase the intensity on your own
yeah,
with an external load that I
yeah,
think will help.
yeah.
So we'll go through a
But
couple
yeah, man,
things.
and that's why like whenever I squat too, so I wear the Olympic lifting shoes that have, I think it's like a 3/4 inch heel. So that forces my knees to travel forward a little bit more. But even with that, I still sit back in the squat and my shins are still like pretty much vertical. Like there might just be like a very slight shin angle.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
yeah, so and also like I also feel like it does make me feel a little bit more stability. Like when you wear those shoes, you feel like you were like cemented like into the ground. So that is a small part of it as well. Like, and if you squat and I don't think, and this is another thing that I used to think was much more important, like the footwear that you train in. I don't really think that's that important anymore. But if you do wear like running shoes, your feet just move around so much more because of all the cushion and the padding, and
Mm-hmm.
you do feel a little bit more unstable. I don't think that's necessarily going to lead to like a significantly higher like injury risk or anything like that, but just the way that you feel and how rooted you are to the ground and everything makes a
Mm-hmm.
big difference. So yeah,
Do you do any plyos?
man, not really.
If heavy
Yeah,
trap bar deadlifts
yeah,
with like a lot of focus
hmm,
on that dorsiflexion helped, I bet some plyos,
no
maybe
shit.
like I bet some, because you
Like
need that.
jumps, box
Yeah,
jumps.
some
Yeah,
jumps, some
okay,
type of jump, more
yeah,
vertical
explosive.
jumping
Yeah,
would probably be really good for you because you get high
yeah,
forces and you're required to get that dorsiflexion. I bet that might be even something like drop jumps, which
yeah,
are obviously a bit more advanced and
right,
like, but doing a few sets of jumps a
yeah,
couple days a week, I bet would give you a high intensity that would allow you to put a lot of force through your ankle.
yeah,
That would also help improve that, along with other things.
right.
But I bet that would help a lot.
Dude, I'll try it. Like I'm open. Yeah, absolutely. That'd probably be a good thing to do during warm-ups before like squats
Yes.
and deadlifts and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'll
It'd be
try that.
interesting to
I've
do
done that
that
a
for
couple
like.
times. Like it's so interesting because at powerlifting meets, I always do like, they say don't change anything from the way that you normally train to like game day. Like you should keep most things the same. But that's one thing that I've always changed for some reason or another at powerlifting meets. I do plyos. Like I'll
Yeah.
do like some explosive jumps and everything.
Makes
And
sense.
of course, every powerlifting meet I've ever done, I hit freaking PRs.
Yeah.
So like maybe I should implement that in my training all the time.
Dude,
Yeah.
plyos for me, number one, they're fun.
Yeah.
Like it brings me back to high school sports,
Hmm.
athletics. You're very rarely as you get older are you jumping,
Yeah.
are you moving around like athletically
Why
like
you get
that?
old.
Yes,
Yeah.
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 So I think they're fun. Also, they're great from a bone density perspective.
Yeah.
Also, like tendon and ligament strength, resiliency, robustness, your ability to rebound, absorb force. Like all these things are things that you lose when you don't
Yeah.
use it.
Yeah.
But then from the mobility perspective, it's basically the same thing in terms of a heavy trap bar deadlift, but it's faster and more
Got you.
explosive. You're putting a high level of intensity on it in order to propel. What are you, 180 pounds?
Thank you. But no, I'm like 168 pounds. But
Okay, so like
yeah.
in order to propel 168 pounds
Yeah.
off the ground high, like you're gonna have to, you have to have a lot of intensity in that. And then if you're jumping properly, you're gonna get a lot of ankle dorsiflexion. You're gonna be able to jump higher with more ankle dorsiflexion.
After this, we're going to do some plyos.
I like that.
Yeah.
There was another thing that I was gonna bring up on that front, but anyway,
Ankle
it's all
rotation,
good.
yeah.
There was something you said. You said when you fall off track,
Hmm.
practicing self-compassion
Yeah.
is much more helpful than being overly critical and beating yourself up. My question is, what does practicing self-compassion practically look like?
Yeah. Um, I think it's probably mostly internally, like the things that you say to yourself. Like if you eat a much more dessert than you want, people tend to feel guilty or be hard on themselves, and they have all of these thoughts like, man, I'm a failure. I can't ever stick to my plan. I have no discipline. And I think all of those thoughts are normal and everyone has them, but I think you can practice catching those thoughts and slightly reframing them and then just telling yourself, like, yes, I ate more than I wanted to eat. I probably went over my calories for the day. That is not ideal, but I haven't, sabotaged my whole day. Like I'm still fine. I could possibly only be like 300 or 400 calories over, but I'm still in like 100 or 200 calorie deficit for the day. So it's not a big deal, just reminding yourself that you are human. And then also what it looks like externally is like, hey, your next meal, go and have some lean protein, go and have some fruits and vegetables. Just don't let it derail you and continue to self-sabotage for the rest of the day. On similar lines, I think it's James Clear. He sent out a newsletter one time and he was like, think of your day in quarters, like first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. So if your first quarter or even your first half doesn't go how you wanted to, maybe you went out to breakfast and you ate way too much food and you're feeling miserable and you were feeling stuffed. Like that is okay. It's just like a basketball game. If you're losing by 20 points and you go into the locker room, the coach isn't like, we fucked up. Like this game's over. We lost. It's like, no, hey, let's come out in the second half and let's play our best ball in the second half. And it's similar to eating. It's like, hey, let's come out. Like you can still win the second half of your day. And to me, that is very important. And yeah, it just takes, I think most people are going to change much better whenever they practice over and over that self-compassion instead of just constantly berating themselves, beating themselves up. And I do think, again, that is normal to do, but we can also pay attention to those thoughts and kind of reframe them and change how we see it and how we think about it. And yeah, and just go get in bed that night at a normal time. That is self-compassion. That's self-compassion way more than doom scrolling on social media or something. So
What I like about that, I like everything you said. The thing that sticks out to me is practicing self-compassion is not justifying continuing to give up.
right.
Practicing self-compassion means like, okay, I know maybe this wasn't the best choice. Now I'm going to make better choices.
Mm-hmm.
And I think many people, especially in recent years, have equated self-compassion with just do whatever I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
And doing
You mean
whatever you
like
feel.
being too easy on yourself?
Yeah.
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 I don't think being too hard on yourself
Yeah.
is good.
Right.
And I don't think being too easy on yourself is good. I
There's a
think there's a
balance.
middle ground.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There was something you also said. I put these back to back. You said, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you can't throw caution to the wind every weekend regarding your nutrition and expect to make any real progress. Which, listen, go enjoy your favorite foods.
Right.
You're allowed to have whatever you want.
Yeah.
Just because you're allowed to have it doesn't mean you're required to have it.
You can eat whatever you want, but
yeah. But understanding that if we're going to practice self-compassion or self-love or whatever you want to call it, part of that is holding yourself to a higher standard.
Absolutely.
And also not being too hard on yourself and ripping yourself apart if you make a quote unquote mistake.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think there's so many different ways that you can practice self-compassion. And yeah, that is definitely one of them. I mean, you cannot, like, it's not like throwing all caution to the wind on a weekend and like gaining 5 pounds. Like self-compassion isn't like, oh, it's okay. Like, let's just move on now. It's like, no, like it's actually taking some intentional thought. It's like, well, what could I have done different? What could I have done better? What was this trigger? Why did I eat like this? You can ask yourself these questions. You can reflect on these things. And then, so it's like you're not beating yourself up, but you are learning from it. And learning from it is key. And then you go into the next weekend and you practice. Like you actually remember how you felt. You remember what you reflected on. You make some changes and you try to do better. That is self-compassion, not just saying, "Oh, it's okay," like I'll try better, or just like saying something like, "I'll try again next week," or "I'll try whatever. So it's actually taking action and doing something.
Yeah.
So learning. Yeah.
Now I want to go into a new section.
Okay.
This is more of a fatherhood section.
Oh, my favorite.
All right. So you and I are both fathers of 2 young kids, and we both, through conversations prior, have agreed that being a dad is literally the best thing in the world. Did you always know you wanted to be a dad?
Ooh, no, man. Honestly, I think I've always been aware of how hard it is. And me and my wife, the way that we operate, like we've never really planned anything. Like we actually, this may sound bad, but we never even had like we talked about it, but we didn't have like very serious conversations about having kids, right? Would not recommend for most people. You should have very serious conversations about this. But we both, man, we just like kind of go with the flow, and like, we started thinking about it probably in, well, my late 20s, and we did have a couple of conversations and everything. But no, I did not. But it was questionable, right? Like I didn't know if I wanted to or not, because I knew that it was going to be life-changing. I knew how hard it was going to be. I knew that like I am a little bit of a selfish person. And what I mean by that is that I love my sleep, dude. I'm like a sleep evangelist. Like people make fun of me for this, but I get like 9 hours of sleep. And like, I knew that having kids was going to disrupt that. And also like, I love training. That's a huge part of my day. So no, I was considering all of those things and like thinking about that. But man, I'll tell you, I'm so fucking glad that I did, because it is literally the best thing in the entire world. So,
Do you want more?
no. We have had the serious conversations about me getting snipped. So,
oh, really?
Yes. So, and I will plan to do that. I'm procrastinating. I will do that soon. So, yeah. And it's funny, man. Like, did you notice that? So you have one, obviously hard. When you had the second, did it feel just like double harder, or did it feel like triple harder or more? Because to me, it was like exponentially harder when the second one becomes.
It's not double. It's like 10x.
Yeah. And all the different things that you worry about, like how is the older one going to be with the younger one, and like how are they going to feel, and all of this.
I think it's funny with the first one, when you don't have any experience yet, it's just like it's challenging, it's difficult, there's so much going on. But then with this, you have a second one, now it's like, oh man, infant stage is actually pretty easy.
Yeah.
Right?
Because you had the experience and you went through it the first time.
No, because they just lie there.
Yeah.
They're just a nugget.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Bro, like it's just like, yeah, they're lying there. They're good. Like they're not moving. Like if they're crying, obviously it's difficult. But the toddler phase is fucking
so hard.
wild, dude.
Yeah.
Running all over the place, getting into all this crazy shit. And with just one, dude, I don't know how parents of twins and triplets do it.
Me
Like
neither.
that
Handle
shit
that many.
is wild to
So
me.
wild.
Like one is difficult enough.
Yeah.
But then once you have an infant and a toddler, it's just, what the fuck?
See, our
dude?
experiences were a little different. I feel like it's way different for you having an infant and a toddler than it is for me having an infant and like a kindergartner or like a 6-year-old, just the age gap.
Yeah.
Like there's different challenges with both of those scenarios,
Right.
But I agree with you that for my oldest, it is like you thought that the baby stage was hard, but really it has gotten harder every year. Like every stage has been harder for totally different reasons. But now having him and the baby, dude, he's so hard. And like you said, she is so easy. She lays there and she naps and
Yeah. I mean, there are difficulties obviously,
Yeah.
but the infant stage, and I only have 2 times experience with it. It's exponentially easier than the toddler stage.
Yeah.
And I would imagine it gets harder and harder and harder, especially because they're becoming, as they get older, like I'm having conversations with my toddler, which is literally the best part of my day.
I know.
When I get to hear her thoughts and I get to hear, like, it's when I wasn't a parent, I didn't understand. It's like, yeah, they're a human. They're going to talk and do all this
can't
stuff.
understand
But
till
when
you
you go from like seeing literally everything where they are just, they can't do anything, to now like they're expressing their thoughts and opinions and they're saying real things and having conversations. And it's the most incredible thing ever.
Yeah.
And so it's, what that means is, well, now if they're having the real thoughts and real conversations, now you can't just passively be there. You have to be an active listener,
Engaged.
actively like thinking about what am I doing? What is she seeing or what is he seeing? Like you have to be very aware of at all times of what you're doing, what you're saying, how you're acting. Even like my wife and I talk about how we speak to one another is super important because they're watching, they're learning what's acceptable, what's not acceptable, what they should tolerate, what they shouldn't tolerate. It's not, it's a full-time job doesn't cover it. It's
doesn't do any
because
justice.
full-time job is 40 hours a week. This is 24/7, 365, nonstop. Like even during this conversation, my oldest is at school right now, and I'm thinking like, oh, does she have this? Does she have water? It's constant. It doesn't stop.
It sounds cliche, you know, it's always, you hear like, once you have kids, you never go a day in your life without worrying. And does sound cliche, and you don't understand until you do have kids. And then you fully get it, man. Like you were worrying about something pretty much constantly.
Yeah.
How they're doing at school, how they are feeling, their emotions, their physical safety, man. This is a big one. So it's like, whenever I'm with my kids anywhere, like my head's on a swivel, like I'm paying attention to how people are behaving. I'm like looking at the guy at this table over here, and you're just so much more wound up and so much more uptight. And I noticed this, like I don't do this very often, but this last weekend I went to a Ranger game with just friends, and I made the comment to my buddies. I'm like, dude, it is so weird being at this game without kids, and just like how much you can relax, and you can like let your guard down, and you can, whereas when you go to a game with your kids, you're so worried about them getting lost from you, like holding your hand the whole entire time, like all of these things. So yeah, man, just
You're
for
in protector mode.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I took my daughter to the park yesterday, and it's like my job is to make sure that she has fun.
Yes.
But and not to see that I'm constantly looking around, surveying what's happening, who's where their hands going. Always, I'm constantly. I'm like, it's nonstop, and it's.
And you even have thoughts like, man, if this person did that,
what do I do? What's my move? Where do I go? Always.
You're like
Always. Yeah. It's a wild experience.
Yeah.
What is the best part of being a father, and what has been the most surprising part of being a father?
Best part is probably, I mean, that's the easy part, because I could say, I mean, I love it all, man. Like it's so fun to see them like learning and growing. Like you said, they start developing their own language and like the words that they say, you know, how they say dad, like my son said dat, you know, and like all of these things. It's so cute. My son is learning to read now. We actually when he started the year, he was like way below average as far as like reading level. And now there's 3 days of school left, 2 days after today, and he's way above reading level. And like, I am very proud of that. And I'm proud of him because he stuck to consistently reading for at least 15 minutes every single day since he started kindergarten, really ever since he was a baby, but on his own since he started kindergarten. And seeing him be proud of himself, and like seeing him gain confidence, you know, and like being proud of himself for being able to like read bigger words and stuff. Like, I think that is so damn fun, man. Just like watching them just sprout up, man, and just watching them learn and grow. Your second part of the question is, what has surprised me about having kids? And I would say how hard it is. Like like I said, I always knew that it was hard, but you don't know until you have them how fucking hard it is. And like, I had a client who is considering having kids, and he's like, is it really like that much harder? He's like, what, like, how is it harder? And I'm like, I don't even know how to explain it. Like, every single part of your day is harder. It's harder to get to work. It's harder to get them out of the house to go to school. It's harder to eat your breakfast. It's harder to go to bed on time. Everything is harder. But also, I think things that are really hard are also some of the best things in the world. And so like it's like, I don't say that to make it sound like terrible or like, hey, don't have kids. It's incredible. It's the best thing in the world. But that was what surprised me, is just how hard it is and how involved you are like with everything. So, yeah.
Dude, I agree, man. It's actually, it was funny. I was talking with Dola last night. We were DMing back and forth because we we were commiserating about how unbelievably difficult bedtime is. And every time I post about bedtime, I say it's basically World War III.
Literally.
And people who don't have kids are like, what's so difficult about bedtime? I'm like, oh,
man.
bro.
Like, hey,
bro, it's crazy.
It's wild.
It's crazy.
Yes.
Like the shit that could go wrong.
Yeah,
like
you can't explain it.
Yeah. And it always takes way longer, to the point where now we used to have people over for dinner.
Yeah.
We have now decided as a team, we aren't having people over for dinner anymore. We'll have them over for brunch.
Love it.
Because
should normalize that.
It's just, we're not doing dinner time, because dinner time and then going into bedtime, it's fucking chaos.
Literal.
It's
Literal chaos.
then we can't even pay attention to the guests. It's like, no, come over for brunch. Like, well, we can hang out.
We can relax. Maybe the baby will be napping.
Relatively relaxed.
Yeah, relatively.
But yeah, brunch time is generally easier than bedtime.
Yeah. Completely agree, man. And as your oldest started like the whole getting out of bed literally like 1,000 times and like thinking of different things that like she needs and stuff, or is she not?
So we just got her a big girl bed.
Okay.
She doesn't want to sleep in it yet.
Yeah.
Like she still wants to be in her crib.
Okay. Yeah.
So we literally have her crib and her bed in her room.
Yeah.
And we got it 4 nights ago.
Yeah.
And we put her in it. We're like, all right, you're gonna stay here. And she was all really excited.
Oh.
And then we left, and she was like, nope, I want to go in the crib. Like, I don't want to be in this bed. So we don't have to worry about it yet. But I would imagine once she's in that bed, she's going to be all over the place.
And, bro, I don't want to be one of those people, one of those just wait people. But just wait. Like, from, I think, up to 3 with my son, it was relatively easy. And then from 3 to his age now has been at least 100 times harder at bedtime. So if you think it's like World War III right now, just wait.
What has gotten more difficult?
Oh man,
from like 3 to 6.
You know, the kind of, I guess, defiance. I don't know if that's the right word, but yeah, I guess defiance, like fighting bedtime. Like, you know, he goes to bed and then he's like, oh, I need some water, and then he gets up to go get some water, and then on the way back to the bed, he sees this toy that he forgot to put up, and then he's like, oh, I gotta go get my buddy, I gotta go get my toy. And then he goes, and then he's like, oh man, it's ripped, Daddy, we need to fix this. And then we have to patch up the buddy and then go back to bed. And then he's like, oh, can I give Mom one more hug? And then he gets up out of bed again to go give Mom a hug, and then goes back to bed. And then it's like, it just goes on and on and on, and it'll be like 20 things.
Do you think, is that his personality in terms of I always have more to do, or do you think this is a procrastinating bedtime thing?
Procrastinating bedtime, and maybe it's like, you know, it's hard. Somebody telling you that you have to go to bed, like, let's say, like, if your body isn't tired. And also, like, I try to reframe it, like, to help me deal with it more. That, like, he wants to spend more time with me, right?
Yes, yeah.
Like, that's what I tell myself. So yeah, and other things that I will tell myself too, like, so I like stoicism. Do you like stoicism? So, why is that funny?
The way
Dude, hold on, time out.
I like stoicism.
Yeah.
Do you like stoicism?
No, no, dude, this is so funny because me and Mike talk a lot, obviously. I was talking yesterday. I'm like, bro, like sometimes like I'll do stuff or I'll say something and people laugh, and I'm not trying to be funny at all. So in the back of my mind, I'm like, why the fuck are they laughing at me right now? So like, why are you laughing at me, bro?
The way you said that,
I was dead serious. Like, yeah,
I like stoicism.
Yeah.
Do you like stoicism?
Yeah. But no, I've read a lot of stoicism. I listen to Ryan Holiday's podcast, all these types of things. So one thing that I tell myself, this is an unsolicited advice or maybe a tip to help you whenever you get to the World War IV stages of 3, 4, 5, and 6-year-old, is like, I just constantly remind myself over and over again that there's going to be a day where I would do anything in the world to be back in this moment right here, regardless of the tantrum he's throwing, regardless of how hard it is to put him to bed. Like, I'm going to think back on this in like 10 years and be like, holy shit, man, I would do anything in the world to be in this moment. Mm-hmm. And then I'm calmer, I'm more present, I'm more empathetic. Like my demeanor completely changes. My posture completely changes. So,
dude, I think I heard Peter Attia say that, whereas like at some point in your life, you would literally give anything to be in this chaos.
Yeah.
My daughter does the same thing where she wants to procrastinate bedtime because she just wants to be with us.
Yeah.
It's
That's
like,
what it is.
and so we'll go back and forth. Where like, so I'll go in her crib and she'll give me hugs, and then when I'm about to leave and close the door, she's like, no, I want to hug my
Oh, so
mom.
sweet,
So then
man.
my mom, her mom will go in, and then she'll literally go back and forth. Now I want to hug dad. Now I want to hug mom. Now I want to hug dad. She just doesn't want. She just wants to be with
Yeah,
us.
that's what
It's
it is, man.
yeah,
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 so you got
and
to
then
keep that in mind, right? Like, and I get how hard it is to keep that in mind. Maybe, and like again, I'm privileged because my job isn't insanely stressful. Like some people have
yeah,
insanely stressful jobs, and
yep,
then they go home and their kids throwing a tantrum, and then they're fighting bedtime, and everything is harder. I couldn't imagine that.
yeah,
Like having being maximally stressed and then dealing with that.
mm-hmm.
Like it's easy for me to say, "Hey, deep breath," and like remember that you're gonna want this moment again.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
also like yeah, it does. You can also accept sometimes like, hey, this fucking sucks right now, you
Yep.
know?
Yep.
So, yeah.
So you have a 6-year-old boy
Mm-hmm.
and your daughter's one.
Mm-hmm. Just turn one.
Do you, I wrote this down. Do you see yourself doing anything differently in regard to raising a son versus raising a daughter?
Yeah. Um, I mean, it feels different having a boy versus a girl. Like,
How does it feel different?
for him, it's like, we play rough, like we wrestle, like we tumble, and like, uh, with her, it's like you just want to protect and like just hold her and like, so it definitely feels different. I'm sure I will be different with them. It's kind of hard to say right now because she is only one. Uh, yeah, yeah. I don't know. Yeah,
It's a tough question
yeah.
because I
You
have
have
two
two girls. Yeah,
girls,
yeah, yeah.
and I will say with my oldest, because my youngest isn't even one yet.
Mm-hmm.
With my oldest, like, bro, we roughhouse.
Yeah,
And so we got jujitsu mats
awesome.
and like we we
Yeah,
are rough, and she loves it, dude.
really.
Like she loves to wrestle. She loves to do like to she Mitch has seen me launch her in the air
It's amazing.
so unbelievably
Yeah,
high. But also I am listen, you don't know what
yeah.
you don't know, so I don't know what it would be like if I had a son.
Right.
But I I am wrapped around her finger
Mm-hmm.
in a way that
That's how I feel
I
too.
couldn't. I might be wrong,
Yeah.
but I couldn't foresee myself being wrapped around a boy's finger in the
Mm-hmm.
same way I am with my daughters.
Yeah.
And I wonder if this is where, they say like a daddy's girl and a mama's boy,
Mm-hmm.
right? Where it's like I feel like moms might it's easier to wrap a mom
Mm-hmm.
around a boy's finger and easier to wrap a dad on a daughter's finger.
Always heard that.
And it makes sense to me intuitively, but again, I don't have a son.
Yeah.
But man, I would imagine I would let a son get away with less than I
Okay.
let my daughters get
Stricter.
away
Yeah.
with. Just I would be probably more strict,
Mm-hmm.
more like, hey, like
You
this
want
is
to raise a man. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So and again, I don't have a son, and
Yeah.
I don't. People are always like, "Do you want to try for a boy?" It's like I'm not trying for. I'm
Right.
trying
I'm
for a
just
healthy
yeah.
baby. That's all I
Absolutely. Yeah.
want. I could have 15 girls and be the happiest dad in the world.
Mm-hmm.
It's but I do wonder. I speak about this with parents in
Yeah.
general, but father, like if you would approach raising your son differently than you would approach raising
That's
your
interesting.
daughter.
I do think if you had a boy, he would you would have him wrapped around or vice versa. What is the
He'd be
saying?
wrapped. I'd be
You
wrapped
would
around
be
his finger.
absolutely like you
Yeah.
would because like similarly, whenever we found out we were pregnant with the second, man, I'll be completely honest. I was like, I don't know, like I love him so fucking much that it's insane. And it's like I can't ever imagine loving another kid or another
Mm,
person as much as I love him. So I
yeah.
was questioning, like, do I have enough love like left? Do I have enough space in my heart to give another kid the same amount of love or whatever? And then you have that kid, and immediately, like,
Yeah.
yes, you have the space,
Yep.
and
It
like,
just expands. Your
yes,
heart grows.
yes, dude.
Yeah.
It's the craziest fucking thing, man. Because I was feeling bad about that, like throughout pregnancy and stuff. Like, not, I don't know if guilty is the right word, but just like kind of feeling a weird feeling about it. Like, man, am I going to like care as much?
Worried.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Is
yeah.
it possible?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it possible? And yeah, you have it, and you realize quickly that yes, like, and dude, she's amazing. Like And personality wise, they are so different. So she is like so much my personality. Uh, she's like very outgoing. She's fucking reckless. Like she would literally like if you set her on the couch to change her diapers, she would dive off head first. Like she fears nothing.
Yeah.
Whereas my son is exactly like my wife. He's kind of cautious. He's kind of quiet. He doesn't take risk. He gets very like we went to damn, there's this adventure place in the Colony. Have you seen
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Fritz's Adventures?
Yes.
You would fucking love it, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, we took him there and he was like scared to do anything, like to do the zip line or like to do any of the stuff like the big slides and things like
Yeah.
that. And I feel like she's gonna be like she like even at 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever, she's gonna be on the top like zip line. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah, that's just like they're just so different that it's insane.
That's the traditional birth order that
Yeah.
I've heard. Was like first is more cautious, second is
Okay.
more
And
wild.
it also might be because as a parents, you helicopter parent the
Yeah.
first. And
Yep.
the second, they don't get it the same amount of yeah, that
But it's funny because my first and bro, she's wild,
is she?
dude. She's
Well, you fucking yeet her across the room, so she's used to it,
she.
right? Like,
I think. Part of me thinks it's nature. It's just how she is.
Yeah.
But the other like very deliberately early on, not coddling that like you fall down, cool, get right back up, let's go. But also like in the gym, like rolling around, doing jujitsu, throwing, tossing, and we've started that with the younger one as well, like starting light tossing, just like
I love that.
just like not even leaving my hands, but just going up and down, and she starts laughing and she
awesome,
loves
man.
it. Just I really think that getting your child from a really young age comfortable with movement and with being safe in potentially dangerous situations, feeling comfortable in these environments in which maybe they don't have as much control. I feel like it's super smart
Agreed. Yeah.
to get them used to being like, okay, I'm not in control, but I'm okay.
Doing like dangerous stuff safely or
Yes,
whatever.
that's a
you
better
know?
way to put
like,
it.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna let her do something to where like she could fall and break her neck, but she could fall and break her arm or like her leg or something.
And I won't let it happen.
Right.
But yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Exactly.
want to be okay with that, overcome that fear. Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Do you let your son lift weights with you?
All the time. He loves it.
When did you start doing that with him? 'Cause he's
He
like
was
6 now.
Yeah, I mean, as early on, like, I mean, I've got videos on my phone of him even like in literal diapers, like 9 months old, like out with like PVC pipe, like just lifting
Yeah.
and stuff, but, and then we got him a weight bench. Like I'll have to show you. I'll send you the link because your girls would probably love it too. But it's like a styrofoam / plastic metal weight bench, and we'll set that up in the gym. And like if I'm doing bench press, we'll put it beside mine, and he'll be doing bench press with
I
like
love
his
that.
weights too. And so yeah, he does that all the time. Like unfortunately, like right now we can only work out together on Saturdays because I usually work out whenever he's in school, like throughout the week and everything. But
Yeah.
every Saturday, man, we do deadlifts together, and he loves being in the gym. He loves like now he doesn't stay focused on like a workout or anything.
course
He's
not.
like
Yeah.
he's swinging from the TRX.
Yeah.
He's
But that's a workout. That's strength.
that's movement.
Yeah.
That's physical activity.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I'm huge on that and trying to ingrain those habits, like just staying active. And also our leisure time, we are just always outside. So like when we eat dinner, we're doing an activity outside. That
I
might
love
be
that.
riding bikes, going for a walk or something, but
Yeah.
just constantly trying to move. Actually, right now, the big thing is wrestling upstairs or playing dodgeball.
Yes.
He loves that. So we'll go upstairs and play dodgeball or just tackle each other or whatever. But
It was funny. I recently I ordered a balance beam off
I
Amazon
saw
for like
that.
$45 or something. And when we got it, I took it out, I unpacked it, and we were at the dinner table.
Yeah.
And so during dinner, she just gets off, she starts going on the balance beam, and immediate improvements in balance and coordination, proprioception, all that. And this one woman DM'd me being like, "Why are you doing this during dinner?" And I didn't reply.
Have you
but
ever had dinner with a 2-year-old or 3? Yeah, like they don't just sit there with like their fucking utensils and yeah.
It was a perfect example of like why things are generally harder.
Yes.
Where it's like we don't all just sit down
Yeah.
at 2.5 years old
Right.
and just sit down for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But also it's like there was something, and I didn't bring this up, but I had another quote, something that you had
Yeah.
said. You were talking about movement snacks, how even doing something for 5 or 6 minutes
Yeah.
throughout the day makes a big impact
yeah.
on your health. And teaching them that you don't need to have an hour set aside to do something that's going to massively impact your health, where you could do something for a minute, 2 minutes, and you do that consistently throughout the day, throughout the week. It actually adds up to a tremendous amount of practice over time, which I actually think thinking of exercise as practice is a better way of thinking about it, as opposed to you need this session in full or else it's worthless.
Every time you go to the gym, you're practicing your movements, you're practicing your balance, you're practicing. Yeah. I saw your video with the balance beam, dude. That's so awesome.
Dude, it's fun. I try and set it up so all around.
Is it how narrow is the actual balance beam? Is it like
it's
6
like
inches?
6 inches.
Okay.
It's probably like 6 inches.
I
Eventually,
feel like that's impressive that she can do that.
Dude, so we got her in gymnastics when she was 6 months.
Okay.
So she's been doing stuff since she was 6 months old, like before she could even fully walk.
Yeah.
And obviously the advantage is this is what I do. There are many, like I would imagine there are things that I don't do and have zero education. Like for example, I don't know how to build anything.
Yeah.
I wish I was the dude that like on a weekend was like, I'm gonna build a porch, right? Like I wish I was that guy. I'm not. Like
that is my dad and my father-in-law. That is absolutely not me. I'm paying somebody to build it.
I'm hiring out, and that's a skill that I have no idea how to do. So like I'm not gonna teach that because I don't know. So the thing that I know is fitness and movement, and so I try and instill that as much as I can. But all throughout the house, I try and deliberately place things for movement and exercise all around the house.
Dude, that's awesome.
So it's like we have the balance beam in one place.
No way.
It's a styrofoam little balance beam that's easily movable and foldable. But we have that. We have a rock wall in the playroom.
Oh, in the gym. Oh, that's not a rock wall. That's a pegboard.
We have a pegboard in the gym. But no, in the playroom, there's a rock wall.
No, that's cool.
And then outside, we got monkey bars and all that. And then obviously we have the gym. But like all throughout the house, it's like, what can we do? What can we practice? What can we test? It's I don't know. I think it's a really important opportunity for children to learn. Like we could do this anywhere at any time.
Right. I'm 100% stealing that idea and like figuring out how I can put more of those types of things. So it's like it's the default, right? It's managing your environment. Like how can you make fitness and exercise easy? You know. And
I just love that you also have from when he was in diapers.
Yeah.
He's out there lifting.
Oh, it was the cutest thing in the world. Like
it's cute and it's helpful. Like he's not going to be intimidated in a gym.
Right.
It's going to be something that here's how I look at it. I would imagine that for the rest of his life, especially as he gets older and you and him start to work out more, and your daughter as well eventually.
And like when you start seriously training,
he's going to develop real nostalgia in the gym because like he'll remember the amazing times that he had training with his dad. And your daughter will do the same thing. And so the gym will become something that's not, we were talking about how I'm drinking objectively shit coffee because of the nostalgia that comes with this specific coffee. It's not because it's good coffee. It's because the nostalgia. It's for his whole life. He'll have nostalgia in the gym because of what you've instilled within him and made it such a wonderful place. Like that's an incredible gift to give your children.
Yeah. That's something I haven't thought about very much, but yeah, that is so, I love that.
In terms of your own fitness and nutrition, we were talking about how much more difficult everything is with kids. How have you been able? Was it difficult for you to prioritize your own health and fitness and nutrition after having kids, or was it something that was a non-negotiable? You were still able to make it happen.
I mean, health is one of my biggest values and one of the most important things to me. So, you figure out how to make it work, right? And also, internal motivation. Like I enjoy exercise. I enjoy moving my body. I enjoy sweating. I enjoy training hard. So there's certain things about having kids that make it more difficult, like when my wife had to go back to work with our first, and the baby was a few months old, like having to plan my workouts around like nap times and those types of things. So there's definitely things that make it more challenging. But for me, I never found it like super challenging because it had become such a habit. It is tied to my values and it's something that I enjoy doing. So I just continued to do it. And now, honestly, I have more motivation because I want to stay healthy for them. I want to set a good example for them. I want to be able to go on hikes with them and their families when I'm like in my 70s, you know? And so it just increased my motivation that much more. So yeah, I don't think it has been significantly harder. So
I want my daughter's boyfriends to come over and like
yeah,
look at the gym, and I want to wreck them in
dude,
the gym.
I
And
love that. Yes. Like that. And no, you joke and we're
I'm
laughing, but you're
serious,
dead fucking
100%
serious. Yeah,
serious. Yeah,
100%. Like,
yeah.
yes, yes,
I want their boyfriends to come
yes,
over and be like, "Oh fuck,"
yes,
and then also I want my daughters to be like, "That's my dad."
yes.
Like that's
You want to
awesome.
make them proud. And
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And man, I'll tell you, like, I'm not the most jacked guy in the world, but like I wear a lot of cut off shirts. And so like even at like my son's t-ball games and stuff, like some of the little kids, like they all come up to me and they feel my muscles and stuff,
That's awesome.
and they tell Dax and they talk about their Dax's dad has muscles and all of this, and I just think it's fucking cool,
Yeah,
because I'm sure it makes him feel proud,
yeah. Of
right? Like,
course.
and not that I think I'm better than anybody else because I am fit or because I do have muscles, but it is a cool feeling.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
It's
similar to
inspiring. Like these kids
absolutely,
could look up to you. Like I want to
yeah,
be like that. I want to do
yeah,
that. How do I do that? It stimulates good conversations as
yeah,
well.
for sure, for sure.
How are you trying to instill good nutrition habits, especially with your 6-year-old?
Um, I mean, I think, earlier we were talking about how they are always watching, so it's really
Mm-hmm.
just leading by example. I mean, we keep most of the right foods in the house. Like we always have fruits and vegetables in the fridge. We always have lean proteins. I'm cooking, almost daily. So I think, he sees what I do, and I think they learn way more from that than telling them anything.
Mm-hmm.
Shit, we give him protein for breakfast. Like he's been eating Kodiak pancakes for the last like 2 years. So he gets like 20 grams of protein, maybe not that much because we make it smaller, maybe like 10 to 15 grams of protein at breakfast. He gets like 8 to 10 grams of fiber, like with his banana, and he loves it because Kodiak pancakes are delicious, especially the chocolate
They're
ones.
super good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just leading by example. He sees me doing those things. He sees me being physically active, and I just think they're so much more likely to do what they see you doing than they are to do what you tell them to do or what you say to do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's managing the environment, leading by example. Those are probably the two of the bigger things.
You know what I find funny or interesting or ironic or whatever word we can put in there is we often use this to talk about children, but I found that when people are like, "Hey, how do I get my spouse to adopt better
Yeah.
habits?" It's the same thing.
Yeah.
You lead by example.
Yes.
You don't force them.
Right.
You don't shame them. You don't guilt them. It's like you just fucking do what you're supposed to do.
Yep.
And after a while, they'll take notice,
Yep.
and not always, but a significant percentage of the time, just by watching an osmosis,
Yeah.
they start adopting the same
Absolutely,
habits.
man. Yeah. Totally. And like you don't start making comments to them or trying to get them to change. And like, I can't remember if I posted this on my story or made a feed post about this the other day, but just kind of, it was about, if your spouse is making some healthy changes and they're trying to lose weight or they're trying to eat better, like be supportive
Mm-hmm.
and like join them. But also, I just don't think that's reality. I think a lot of, maybe people have been together for a really long time or maybe they've done multiple diets in the past and haven't been able to stick to it. So like your spouse thinks like, oh, this is just another thing that this person's trying. So like they might make some comments in the beginning, or maybe it seems like they're being like unsupportive, but kind of almost maybe it feels like you're kind of imposing on them a little bit, right? Because like you're being more cautious of your food and like tell them, hey, like, can you not buy this or can you not buy that? So it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
a change for them too, and maybe they don't want to change. But yeah, my point is that if you stick with it long enough, like if you get over that hump where, people are making the annoying types of comments and stuff, I think the people you surround yourself with will start to adopt those same habits and want to be healthier as well.
Yeah.
So,
I have 3 more questions, okay?
okay.
Number one, what if you're looking back at your entire training career, not as a coach, but as someone who likes to work out,
Okay.
what was your favorite time period in your own workouts?
I don't even have to think about this. It was so easy. I was doing,
What a dumb question.
yeah,
So easy.
yeah, no, just because like, no, because I loved this period, man. Like the gains that I made, like this is what sucked me in. I was doing like Mad Cow 5
Oh
by
yeah.
5 so
Wow,
like a
I
5
haven't
by
heard
5
that
program
in so
since
long.
like 2010 or something.
Yeah, dude.
So
Wow.
yeah, I was doing that program, and I was seeing my squat go up by like 10 pounds every single week. Simultaneously, during that training program, I learned how, or I developed the ability to dunk a basketball, And so like I was seeing it directly pay off. Like, oh, my squat went from 155 to 365. And now I can dunk a basketball with that like leg strength and that
Yeah.
explosiveness. So that was just like such a
Were
fun
you doing
period.
plyos then?
Uh, Outside of just trying to dunk, no. Like, no, yeah,
Really?
yeah. Nothing like I wasn't doing like,
Interesting.
yeah.
You
But
weren't doing like,
dude, here's what I would do, which is not the smartest thing at all from a training perspective, is I would do my workout for the day, the Mad Cows 5x5 workout, and then I would go outside to this concrete basketball court and I would literally just try to dunk for like 30
I
minutes.
love
And
that.
that is, it was just so freaking fun, man. I just enjoyed it so much.
It really speaks to this optimization
Yeah.
is just
Yeah.
nonsense.
Yeah.
Just do the thing you want to get
That
better
you
at.
want to do. Yeah.
Do it.
There's a lot to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And stop stressing about all the fine details and the nuts and bolts. Just do
Yeah.
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 So yeah,
No
that
optimal
was a
set
fun
rep
time,
scheme.
man.
I used to
Yeah.
do a really hard program
Yeah.
and then I would jump for like 30 minutes
Yeah.
straight.
Like not the most ideal, not like no coach is going to prescribe that, but it fucking worked for you,
works.
right? Because you
It
had so
worked.
much fun. Yes.
I love that.
And you enjoyed it. So enjoyment
Was
is
this
a
like
massive
2010,
factor.
2011? Was that?
It was way back in the, 2010 or 2011. And then, because I started lifting consistently after I graduated high school, it was like 2006. And the first few years, I mean, I made no progress. Like I tried to bulk and just got like really fat. And like, so I put on like 95% fat and like 5% muscle. I was doing I was going
Lee
to this
Haney,
gym.
you're like-
I was doing I was doing circuits on like machines, like literally I was going around the gym. I would do like a leg machine, back machine, chest machine. And hey, it was like, it got me started, but it
Yeah.
was not optimal whatsoever. And then like, yeah, probably 2009, 2010 is actually when I started doing that, like following specific programs, and then that's whenever you see actual progress, is
Yep.
whenever you're not doing random stuff. So I was following a specific program. And do you know what year I hired you as my coach? Do you even remember that?
Of course.
Okay.
Uh,
It was
2013?
it was 2012 or 2013.
Yeah. Yeah.
At the time, you probably had like 2,000 Instagram followers, but here's how I heard about you.
Okay.
So I was watching a seminar. I bought the seminar. It was like an online seminar. Don't ask me what it was called
Okay.
because I can't remember. But you taught the sumo deadlift.
Okay.
And like your whole presentation, it was an hour-long presentation. Like, here's these sumo deadlifts. Here's all the cues. And I was like, damn, I want to learn how to sumo deadlift. And so I hired you after seeing that to coach me. And then you coached me for my first powerlifting
Yeah.
meet
Yeah.
where I switched and pulled sumo. Looking back on the videos now, you would probably cringe. Then of course, you were like the most encouraging coach ever. You're like, you hyping me up and stuff. But now you're probably like, holy shit, that was the worst sumo deadlift form I've
No.
ever. Yes, bro.
No.
At my powerlifting meet, like I go to pull and immediately like lose, back position, and like I'm just grinding it up my legs and
But it's
everything.
a 1 rep max.
Yeah,
Of course.
agreed. And my first powerlifting meet, but I don't know what my point is of explaining that, but that was also a lot of fun. Yeah, during that time.
When you're
And
training
getting
for
into
something.
powerlifting. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Having a
yeah.
specific goal. That's always been super motivating to me. Like having
Yeah.
a powerlifting meet. It's a date on the board. You got to be as strong as possible by this day. That is so much more fun than just going to train or going.
Gives so much purpose
Yes.
to your training.
Yes.
I didn't even bring this up. I have a lot more things that you had said, but to that point around the bad technique, you said recently, you wrote, and I quote, if your exercise technique is
Yes.
always flawless, you probably
Yes.
aren't pushing hard enough.
Absolutely. So
Which I completely agree with
Yeah.
that. And I never look at someone's technique in a competition
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, that was shit technique.
Right.
I
Like it's a
shouldn't say
max weight.
never. Like maybe like if they have just bad technique overall, but I don't look at someone going for 1 rep max and be like, that's supposed to be perfect technique.
Right.
Like 1 rep max is never perfect technique.
Yep.
Ever.
It should look hard as hell.
Yeah.
And I've seen you maybe make multiple posts about, I think, like facial expressions. Like, hey,
Yes.
if your facial expression doesn't change, you probably aren't lifting hard enough. Or probably aren't-
Definitively.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitively.
Yes.
Yeah.
Literally. I mean, you cannot lift hard and keep the same facial expression the whole entire time.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah. And similarly, like there's a spectrum with form and technique, and like most of the time, like, most of the time your form should be on this, it should be pretty solid. But if you're pushing yourself close to failure, those last 1 to 2 reps, it's perfectly fine to have a little bit of variance. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like there's been a theme throughout our conversation where it's like we've kind of talked about different ways our bodies are very adaptable and very resilient. And it's like if you get out of alignment or your knee comes in just a little bit on a squat, like you're going to be fine. Like your body is so adaptable and so strong.
That's the industry you and I were brought up in, though. Do
Absolutely,
you remember
man.
the industry like back in the day where it was like, you have any knee valgus?
Yes.
Oh my God, your knees are going to explode. If
Yes.
you have any spinal flexion, oh my God, your back is like, and I don't just say that with hyperbole. That was literally the verbiage that was
Yes.
used, where it was like, if you have any deviation, we were the industry that you and I were brought up in was the optimal alignment
Yep.
industry.
Did you ever go through the FMS?
Yeah, of course.
So that,
it
and
was so bad.
yeah, dude. So sorry, I do know what the FMS is, and I did go through that. I went to a seminar and everything. But what I was thinking about when I said FMS was the NASM or NASM's overhead squat assessment.
Oh yeah.
And I used to put all of my clients through that. This was probably 2010. And like, I remember nitpicking every single thing. Like, oh, your knee came in a few degrees, your foot was turned out, you had this forward lean, which means like your hip flexors are tight, and like all of the shit. And like, looking back, man, I'm like, cringe, bro. Like,
why the fuck did you do that? Yeah.
And like, I'm just making people feel like shit. Like, oh man, I'm all messed up. I don't move right. You know, it's like, and like, none of that shit really matters. Just pick appropriate exercises and loads and start moving and start training. Like now it's like, I don't even do assessments aside from like, I'll be, hey, send me a video of you doing like a relatively heavy squat, row, bench press. And I'll just kind of like look at, I'm like, yeah, that's great.
I assess their technique on the lifts we're doing.
Absolutely. Not a standardized screening or standardized test, which I did from 2010 to 2014 or whatever, you know?
So. Dude, you know what I realize is it really is, especially nowadays, it's used as a selling tool, not as a tool 100%. For the coach. It's used as a way for the coach to say, this is what's wrong with you. I can fix you. Sign up for coaching. It's not like the coach is learning anything that is going to dramatically change the programming. It's literally like, oh, look, oh my gosh, you can't even do this. You're so broken. You're tight here. You're tight here. I bet you probably are a righty. And it's like, oh my God, how did you know that? That's crazy. It's like, I'm going to sign up with you. It's a selling tool, not an actual useful tool for the coach.
Yeah. And I honestly don't know if it is an effective selling tool either, because I feel like if you are more encouraging and showing somebody what they are good at, and that like, oh, you had great technique on that, they're going to be much more inspired to maybe like sign up and actually work with you than rather you like picking them apart or something, you know?
Unfortunately,
but I do 100% agree with you that it is a selling tool.
Unfortunately, like there are many ways to sell. One of the most common ways is pain points, right?
Fear,
You take their pain point, and as I've heard many marketers say, is like you twist the knife on their pain, which I've always hated.
Yeah, that doesn't feel good.
It doesn't feel good as someone who wants to help people, but it also does work. But I prefer what you say. I prefer like, let's encourage you. Let's get you feeling confident in yourself. Let's improve your self-efficacy, and we'll go from there.
Like, like that was a great squat. Maybe we can make these small tweaks, but hey, your form was really good.
Yes.
You know? Like, next set, let's just maybe focusing on like, you know, keeping your legs out, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
But overall, really solid, you know?
What are you scared of?
Heights.
You're actually scared of heights?
Were you looking for a way deeper answer?
I don't. You could choose whatever you want.
I am terrified of heights. I used to be scared to go over bridges, like even like high, like overpasses and things.
Like when you're driving?
Yeah. Like I don't like roller coasters. I don't like rides that go up high. I'm fine on airplanes because you're enclosed. This is one of those.
I'm fine 30,000 feet in the air.
Yeah. It feels different than if you were standing on like a platform or something. But no, I'm
like when your knees get wobbly, like on a ledge or something.
I'm so like I feel like I'm way better now. Like I don't, dude. We used to. So if we would, you know, I grew up in a small town. I never went to the city that often. But if we did go to like a Rangers game or something, you know, that's whenever you had to print off like MapQuest, the instructions to get to the game. I would sit there for 2 hours trying to find routes that avoid bridges, even if it was out of the way.
And you're not like that anymore?
No, like I'm okay. Yeah. But that's
where did that fear come from?
I don't know. I have no idea. I've just never liked.
How'd you get over it?
I don't know. Exposure.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Just
like,
did
hey,
it.
Nut up and go over the bridge, you idiot. You're gonna be fine. Yeah. I mean, that's a real thing, right? Exposure therapy. Like, just do stuff. Like, do it.
Do what
like,
you're scared of.
Yeah.
Don't avoid it.
You can accept it. Like, hey, this is gonna be scary, but I'm gonna freaking do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's probably how. But yeah, I'm sure there's many other things that I'm scared about. But yeah, that is definitely one.
What are you excited about?
This is like very broadly, like anything. Everything. I don't know. Like No, for real, like I'm excited, dude, to leave here and to go work like with my clients. I'm excited for when my son gets home from school to like wrestle with him.
Yeah.
I'm excited to, watch them grow up. I'm excited to, I don't know. I don't know, all of it.
That's good. I
Yeah,
like that.
yeah,
That's a good answer.
yeah.
There's no wrong answer there.
Okay, yeah, yeah,
Like the three questions that I have that are I'm always interested in what people say are who are you?
yeah,
What are you scared of? And what are you excited about?
yeah,
Because you get to decide like
yeah.
whatever your brain
yeah,
tells you. Some
yeah,
people with the who are you, some people are like I'm a coach, some people are like I'm a father, some people are like I'm a Jew or whatever it is. Like people will I'm always interested to see how people identify
yeah,
and what is the first thing that comes to mind.
yeah,
So when I was like, what are you scared of? You're like, heights, bro.
yeah,
I was like, that's interesting to me that
yeah.
was the first thing that
Yeah.
came to your, even though
Maybe
now
if
it
I would
doesn't
have
seem like
paused
it's
and taken like 30 seconds to think about it, maybe I would have said something different. But like, yeah, that's the first thing that came to my mind.
well,
Yeah,
what we can do is we'll have you back on the podcast
beautiful.
and I'll ask you those questions again and see how
Maybe
they
I'll have some
change.
different answers. Yeah.
Where can people follow you?
Instagram, at DStanleyFit. That's where I'm most active. I also have a website, DerekStanleyFitness.com, but I don't really use it all that much aside. So just follow
Let
me
me
on
direct
Instagram.
all of you to a website that I don't
Yeah,
use.
literally. Actually, I take that back. I do use it because people do commonly fill out like applications for coaching and stuff. So
Got
it's
it.
great
So if they
for
want
that
to work
purpose.
with you, go to your website.
But mainly Instagram. So
Do you reply to DMs?
all the time, man. Yeah.
Okay. So if
Yeah,
they have questions,
everybody.
they can DM you.
Yep,
Good.
for sure.
All right. So we'll put all that stuff
Yep.
in the show notes.
Beautiful.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a 5-star review on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you're listening. Give it a thumbs up on YouTube. I hope you enjoyed it. Please make sure you give Derek a follow. He's, as you can tell, a wonderful human being. Thank you for listening. I hope you have a wonderful week. I'll talk to you soon.